This conference will now be recorded.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. First item is public comments. We have a member of the public here.
Yes, I am. And one question I had is probably easily answered, perhaps, maybe not. I was, because I looked at the ballot, my name's third on the ballot that I looked at. Now, are each individual ballots, are they, I mean, they rotate the names on the different ballots? Is that how that works, or is it?
Yes.
So they'd be divided up, so how do you go, which town and how?
I go by the total number of candidates, total number of registered voters in the district, and divide that up as close as I can. So,
And then,
if you would like to see,
yes, the documentation on.
I sure do.
So there's that there.
Tom,
Pardon
I voted the other day.
for me.
I did.
I hope so. He winds up finally.
I did electronically. Your name was first and mine was last.
Okay.
So I think that's probably computer card rotation.
Yeah, there is a specific rotation, and I did check.
I would like to see that before. I'll tell you what, this scares me with this mail. Oh, I'll tell you what, I hate that. Because I was a mailman for 23 years. I tell you what. Of course, I never delivered a letter. Just ask anybody. I'm really very good. But yeah, I mean, this is scary, 3% or whatever it is. I'm just saying that's scary. Another thing I would like to address is this lawsuit that I'm going through. $35 million. Big one's good. And it said in the paper, the fake news fellas, syphilis, is a disease that doesn't go away.
Hey,
I know you're gonna say that. Well, I'm done.
no,
I'll tell you what, another thing.
just stay appropriate. That's all.
I'll try to, and
Okay.
that's where it's just gonna get right there.
Okay.
But, so they put in there that we all got off the lawsuit, because they signed agreements to. And I want everybody to know that, no, if people didn't sign agreements with Dick, they did not. That's false. And the reason why they dropped off, and there's still support for us all together, is because they didn't want to get sued for $35 million. That's why people dropped out. They didn't want to lose all their property. They didn't want to go through the BS that I'm going through right now. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say. So, I'll leave it at that. But
You're saying you're still a member of that lawsuit?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would say more than that, but anyways, yeah. You bet. Anybody, but the whole point of it is, in the paper and the fake news, they say that people dropped off, that they signed settlements, that they win, and they did not. That's false. That's it.
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
All right. I don't see any comments on the chat. I don't see anybody else in the public. So I'll close the public comments for this portion of the meeting. And we'll move on to our COVID update. Deidre?
Yes,
Okay.
as of 7:30 this morning, Marion County is at 45 cases, up 13 from last report, which was given on 7/20. We currently have 12 active cases. And due to HIPAA, I won't release addresses until cases reach a point where they are not easily identifiable. I can tell you, though, that all your commission districts have cases, not just one case in each district, but more than one. Marcy is working on a dashboard that includes numbers for positive, probable, active, total tested, negative tests, and then the dashboard will also show the trend. This dashboard will be sent out with press releases, starting with our next press release, and the dashboard will be posted on the Health Department Facebook page. Any questions about that?
No, so as far as you said, all districts, I understand that in cases, total case count, but is it all districts with active cases also?
I would have to go back and check all the zip codes on that, but
Okay,
I believe a good portion does, yeah.
Deidre, this is Kent. Will your new dashboard give the negative test results and the currently hospitalized?
The hospitalization ones we won't do because that's on KDHE's dashboard. And that dashboard actually breaks down the ages too of the hospitalizations. So that kind of brings up a good point. I would like for everybody to go to that dashboard at some point and look at where the hospitalizations are occurring as to what age group. That might be something that people, as they, parents, as they send their kids to school, that they can see where the hospitalizations occur, and most of them are not in the school age children. So that is a very good dashboard for parents to go to see the state of Kansas, and also it has Marion County broken down.
Deidre, are we still at just one death?
Yes.
And that was that original older person, am I correct?
That was the first set back in April.
Okay, thank you.
Deidre, is there any way you know the total number of tests in our county and results of the test?
That also is on KDHE's website. The total number of tests. Now you have to keep in mind that that is kind of a lag time, but I do not have that right in front of me, but it will be on our next press release.
Okay. How many different places in our county can people go and get tested that you know of?
In our county right now, the clinics, the like physician offices, and the hospitals.
Okay, thank you.
And that is something I am going to try and work on. There is a grant out there for expanded testing or extended testing. And that's something I want to kind of work on this week to see if I would like to maybe propose that we have someone, whether we need to hire them or whether we contract with our local hospital labs, and have a courier that we hire that is on a daily basis maybe, or on call, where they would stop in Hillsborough at one time and stop in Marion. I'm just kind of trying to brainstorm that idea so they can go up to KDHE lab.
Okay.
So Deidre, with 45 positive tests, that means we're still south of 1% of the county population, correct?
45, let me figure that.
I can figure that for you,
Yeah,
Deidre.
it's closer to 0.5%.
It is 4/10 of 1%.
Okay.
Which is still quite a bit less than the state average.
Yes.
And also, have we had any children 10 or under test positive?
Yes. That is on, and I will go to KDHE's map. Tina, I guess, could go there also so that you could see it.
Deidre, on these people that are testing positive, are they asked if they were actually using responsibility in what they were doing or where they were going? Is that a question that's asked?
I'm not quite sure what you're meaning. I know that with,
Somebody comes in, wants to get tested and they're positive, and do you ask, were you washing your hands? Were you socially distancing? Did you wear a mask? Have you been frequenting establishments outside of the county?
well, yes, we do ask their travel, depending on their occupation and such. We also ask what precautions they have taken. So if you look based on the 42 cases which they have on the state, that puts us at a 3.5 per 1,000. So yeah, we're close to a 4%.
No, that's a 4/10 of 1%.
0.4%.
Yeah, 4/10 of a percent.
Right.
Okay.
0.04. Yes, and then if you go on the testing rates, and then hover over Marion County, that is, as you see, that's quite a bit behind because of they still have us as confirmed cases of 36 out of 598 tested. So the testing rate would be 50.3 per 1,000.
Know anybody in here who's been tested? I mean, actually,
Yes,
you do? Okay.
my son and daughter-in-law.
Yeah, a couple, both of them come back negative though.
And then if you go to the hospital summary, and you scroll down to, you put in where it says Pacific County, put in Marion County.
So here,
Oh,
Lord,
I see.
And if you see 0 to 9, 50% have been hospitalized and 50% not. But if you go up, you'll see the ages.
0 to 9.
But I think the one to kind of look at is for the state of Kansas, what I was referring to parents. If you see the hospital rate there, 0 to 9 is only 4%. When you get up to 11 to 17, 99.4% are not hospitalized. 18 to 24 years, that's college age. 98.1% are not hospitalized. So I think those are important. Our figure, we do not have very many cases under 10, like Randy had asked. So if we have, say we have 4 cases and 2 of them are hospitalized, then our statistics are kind of skewed. Does that make sense?
Well, Deidre, it kind of comes back to, I know all that information is there, but for the average computer user, that is not a user-friendly system. And I don't think that information is getting into the public's hands just because they can't figure out how to use it. And that's why I've looked at several different counties, and there's some awfully good information out there about what some counties are putting out. And it's not cumbersome, but it tells you a lot. The one I'm looking at right now is Atchison County, Kansas. They updated, I don't know how often they up, but there says positive cases, deaths, currently hospitalized, negative test results, monitoring, and recovered. And then they break it down by age group. And to me, that's all people need to know. And if we had that on our health department website, county website, something like that, I think the utilization rate over that KDHE thing would go up exponentially.
And I agree with Ken. I've been watching the KDHE thing since the beginning. In the very beginning, it was horrible. And I consider myself to get around and navigate pretty well, but even now, I mean, if you don't have somebody walking you through it,
yeah,
or dealing with it daily, it's really not that friendly.
Yeah, I'd say the average public are not getting that information out of KDHE.
So now, I will say now that we have some nurses hired, we can probably do that. We will try to, because Marcy is really good about working with the information and plugging it in, but it's the nurses that have to feed that information to her. So, and now that we have that capability, the staffing, we can try and get that out. We will get that out with our next press release, that dashboard. And then if you all would want to, if you have comments about that dashboard, then let us know what else you want to put on it and we can work on it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And Kent, I also sent, last commission meeting, you asked about the hand sanitizer recall.
Yes,
And
I saw.
okay, so you saw it. Marcy had sent out an email in June to all the businesses, well, to physician's office, gas stations, everybody that she has an outlet contact to. And so they received where to look and they received that information.
Everybody good there?
Has everybody looked at what Deidre sent for the
Draft.
deal?
Mhm. It's actually a copy of the Saline County one. It's exactly what Saline County has in place. And I even went to the newspaper and the thing to see how Saline County voted on that. And that was a 3-2 vote. There was 2 opposed and 3 people approved it. And they had multiple questions. And some of the questions that they asked was really interesting to me. Montoya, who is their county attorney, said that the cities are not bound by it. Incorporated cities are not bound by anything that the county imposes. They can put on their own mask restriction if they so desire. And it also then, and I do have a question for Deidre. even in this right here, and under the HIPAA, I realize in yours, I have two questions for you on that, Deetra. It says in there that if you have a medical condition, you're exempt. And in this line of questions, they ask about, well, do you need to have a doctor's paper to say that you have a medical condition? So under HIPAA, how many questions can you ask a person about their health when they walk into a store without a mask?
Well, I think that's where people have to, it goes back to people responsibility and honesty. I mean, if someone walks in and they say, I can't wear a mask, I have asthma or, you know, a health condition, you just respect that. And you hope that people don't, you know, abuse that. But it's in every law or every, I shouldn't say law, because I don't really want to look at this as a law. It's protecting the public's health. It's not, it's much like any orders that were issued in the very beginning. Sure, you can always get by and, you know, try to skirt around it, but they are not made to find the loopholes. They're made to protect the general public.
And so I wasn't alluding to what you were saying. I was saying a legitimate person with a medical condition. What kind of under HIPAA scrutiny can they be put through when they walk into a store without a mask?
I don't think they should be questioned any further. If someone, if like the owner says, the business owner says, we require masks in here, and the person says, I have a health condition that I don't have to wear one, leave it at that. I mean, don't you agree? I mean,
well, when I read that, it just kind of struck me odd because, and of course, with some of the emails that I was receiving, you know, this is a situation where people are very passionate on both sides. And so I had an email from a woman or a person, I can't remember, who said, you must do this and you must mandate this because people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, I immediately just thought to myself, how do you know? How do you know that the person that you saw at the store didn't have a health condition? How do you know? It was just a question that I had because I do know of several people who have asthmas and different things like that. I don't know the details. So how do I, about them, how do they go into a store without being scrutinized or whatever? My next question to you is on your provision that's also there. You have to wear a mask when you're in a private car service or sharing a ride vehicle. So is that like me and my husband riding down the road? We're sharing a vehicle. Me and my daughter? I mean, it's not very defined. What does it then? Because that's what it says, ride sharing vehicle.
okay, I think I took that out. Are you reading the one I sent or the one from Celine?
I'm reading yours. Your draft. I'm reading your draft.
Okay. Yeah, I did. But I was going to take that out because we don't have a lot of transportation. But what that does mean is if you ride share, like people that work outside the county and they share a ride with someone that's not in their household, there's 4 carpoolers, you know, that then they should wear a mask. But I mean, this is just a draft, so I think it's very appropriate to strike that because in our community, we may not have that.
And so one final question, and I'm going to just hang it up. I would wonder if we could get together with the businesses of Marion County because I see in your draft right here, one of the things that you say, and I'm going to try to find it. Yes. Okay. Under number 2, where it says businesses and organizations, that all businesses and nonprofit organizations, to include nonprofit organizations, must require all employees, customers, visitors, members, and members of the public to wear a mask or face covering. And then it goes on to say, even when the public, regardless of whether anybody in the public is present at the time or not. So as far as a business person goes, in your draft, it says that we are requiring that they must wear a mask, whether there's customers or anything in their place at all. Is that reasonable to do?
Well, I think it is because you never know when the customer might come in, and so I think that's why that's in.
So do you think it's reasonable to maybe work with the businesses on this? I mean, I just wonder what the businesses feel about this. I mean, that's a pretty stiff order for businesses.
I'd like to touch on that since you're on.
Sure, go ahead.
Can I jump in?
I would also.
I just see a problem. You know, we have some retail spaces that they hire some kids. It is still summer. You're asking a 16-year-old kid to have a confrontation with somebody that doesn't want to wear a mask. That's just putting some liability on some businesses that they don't need. They don't need that extra scrutiny. And then somebody that doesn't want to wear a mask, I mean, let's face it, they could potentially become belligerent or whatever. Well, now we're worried about people breathing. Now all of a sudden we got somebody screaming. You know how far that's going to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think those kind of complaints, and a good example of that is Dickinson County. Dickinson County has a mask mandate. The commission did not act on it. All they did was allow the governor's orders stand. The county administrator told me personally that their big issue right now is people keeping their phone lines tied up in the county offices because so-and-so's walking down the street without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So-and-so's in the pharmacy trying to get a prescription filled without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, all we can say is there's no enforcement and hang up, because that's all we can do, because there's no enforcement behind it. And, you know, just like Jonah alluded to, what kind of confrontations are going to happen?
I agree with you, Kent.
Well, my son was in Wichita the other day to pick up some stuff, wherever he was at. And he said that we had our mask on, and yet some lady came up and told us we were standing too close to her. And he said, we thought we were 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what kind of civil disorder we might be looking at. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe we're just blowing it out of proportion.
People are crazy.
But we do know that there are some people out there that are very fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Well, and I just worry about,
causes me some heartburn.
me too. Me too. I read every one of those emails that I got and reread some of the texts and went back in my mind and notes on phone calls that I had, the pros and the cons. And that's why I said people are very passionate by it. And I mean, those that really believe that I'm going to make you sick, whether I'm sick or not, they are very strong in their convictions.
Both sides.
I think that that's why I presented this as a draft. I presented it as the Marion County Board of Health writing this mandate, or the commissioners doing what you want. I just provided that for you as a draft, because as we all know with House Bill 2016, it is up to the commission to kind of bless it or make it null and void, one or the other. So I put that in your hands to review. You guys can decide, you know where I stand. And so you can do with what you all decide.
Just from some information that I read this morning on some testing that has just come out. You know, we talk about face coverings in this order a lot, but it has pretty much been determined that a single layered face covering does no good at all.
Mhm.
It has to be double or more
I read
in
that.
order to stop whatever's going on. And we're talking about an order here that talks about a face covering. So, to me, that's just a rag, a bandana, hold a piece of Kleenex over your nose or whatever.
It says it right in the draft, a scarf or a towel or a handkerchief or whatever. It could be anything. And it even goes on to say silk or cotton or,
So
well, I mean, it could be anything.
I know we're complicating the issue, but yet they're all important things.
I did watch a deal on a cough simulator on different masks and coverings. And I mean, and one that was most interesting to me was the N95. Everybody believes in the N95. Well, that protects you from everybody else. Most of the N95s have a little relief hole. So as soon as they cough, it just jets out of that relief hole. So it actually doesn't do what the other masks are supposed to do.
Mhm.
But it does protect you.
Mhm.
So if you get a hold of one and you're scared of this thing, you should wear it for you. No, and then I watched it in stale air and different atmospheres and outside air. And outside air was pretty good and with or without mask. Inside air with stale, the cough would come out around the mask and it would roll up to 6 feet away within 10 minutes. And it would just stay there
Mhm.
and then finally dissipate. But and I'm not saying that they don't help. I wouldn't be wearing them right now if I didn't think so.
It doesn't hurt.
But you can't mandate stuff on people that you don't have science and it's not something legitimate. I mean, you're taking the rights of people away on something that just don't hurt.
I was just about to allude to that. Okay, this is gonna make me sound a little radical, but I do believe that the safest place for my child in school is with their teacher. On top of that, with some school shootings and stuff, I believe that the teacher would be best equipped to be armed and protect my child. Would I mandate that? No.
Mhm.
I don't believe that they should be forced to do that.
Right.
Because either ill-equipped or just uncomfortable. I feel the same way about this. I don't want mandate voluntarily wear the mask. And that's where I'm at. And I don't mind moving it to a strong recommendation. I could do that.
I think I don't know, there's some confusion out in the citizenry about schools. I keep getting emails about if we don't pass this at a county level, we're going to affect our kids going back to school or not. From what I understand, last week, the county administrators, the superintendents met and all agreed on a start date.
What was that date?
Was it 8th or 9th of September?
Oh, okay. I didn't hear
I
that.
don't believe they have a responsibility to come to us and say, is that okay?
Mm-mm.
I mean, yeah, I'd like to see them start in August, but to me, getting them back in school is the main thing.
Mhm.
And if they feel like they need a couple more weeks to get ready, I wouldn't stand in that way to that. But there's some kind of misconception out there that we're going to override or undercut what the school districts have planned.
No.
And I think the public needs to know we're not standing in the way of anything. We want the kids in school. We want businesses open. Now, I can understand where some of the businesses are coming from that might say, if we don't have this, we might get shut down again. I can kind of grasp that. And we don't want to go back to that because we know what kind of effect that's going to have. And so that's where I've been a little bit torn. Although I did go into a business in the last week or two, and it was the sign was on the door. It says please wear your mask. But then down under italics, it said, but we won't turn away your dollars.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I know I could talk to 10 businessmen and probably get 10 different. But I did have an individual call me last night who said that they would not do business, and they live in Marion County, and they would not do business in Marion County any longer because of some of the retail establishments they've been in, and nobody has a mask on.
I think I got the same call.
And so, that bothers me some, because I know there's some people that are fearful enough that I'll go to a county that's got more cases, but they're wearing masks.
I have a question on your statement of going to school. And the other day I took it from the short meeting we had there when I was here, that he felt that mask for school kids was probably, that's another reason why you may feel that we need the mask is for school kids or something to that effect. But we see that 0 to 9, there's a few cases or so. I'm just wondering how you feel about school kids. I mean, and we're still not trying to override the superintendents or anything, but about younger kids wearing school masks or wearing masks.
My own personal feeling is under 10 shouldn't have to wear masks.
And I read something from Susan Beaton up at,
Especially the lower grades.
they're not
I
gonna stay
think it
on.
will distract them so much. I mean, just from my own experience.
And they're gonna be touching them and messing with them. Kids are kids.
And there's some real thought and theory, especially where I came from, that it's mask mandate. And I wasn't around people much because I went in the backcountry, was pretty isolated. But the time that I was there, there's the last day I was there, I think they got 200 new cases. I mean, it was a little rough, and I got counted to people wearing the mask, giving them a false sense of security, and then touching it. They're talking about not keeping your hands clean, touching it, putting it right on your face because you got to adjust it. If you touch the mask, it should always be by your ear straps, always. But
That's not human instinct.
right. And it's so
I think that we just need to remember that it's not one thing that is going to keep us safe. It's doing several things, washing your hands, and a mask just is a cheap, it's a easy way to keep things open and keep things going.
yeah. And then I also don't want to be so shallow as to I don't want to wear a mask. That's not where I'm at. I also want to think about, does this mask, right now I'm wearing the mask, and if I develop COPD and later on life, well, I probably develop something else. But but if I wasn't a smoker or something, if I develop that, all I have to be mad at is myself right now because I chose to put on the mask. If it comes up to where, this is a long-term effect, a problem from breathing back in, and the county made me do it. Who do you think I'm coming after? Where do you think the class action lawsuit's going to come at?
But aren't we just asking for 4 weeks just to try to slow down the spread?
I would say if anything was to happen, I would say deadline on it.
And we could talk for days.
It needs to. Well, I think it's a very serious issue. It needs to be taken.
DD's trying to just slow down the spread and help everybody help each other.
Yeah, but how do we communicate? From what I'm seeing here as of late, we're getting a bunch of young kids testing positive. So how do we communicate to the public that in the end, personal responsibility is what's going to flatten this thing, not what the county does in the way of mandates or orders or directives or whatever. It's going to come down to to personal responsibility, because it appears to me that the young kids, they're getting out.
Well, I feel that we need to set examples by leadership. And hopefully it'll go down and, if we don't wear a mask, how can we ask other people to wear masks?
Right. And I appreciate you wearing the mask today.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Well, I mean, I thought I had a personal experience this weekend with exposure to COVID. I didn't, not me personally, but part of my family.
Yeah, that's
And I
another
think,
thing.
talking to people, I had 20 emails for mask and one against. I guess my friends all want to wear a mask.
They
I don't
should,
have any friends.
if they want to.
Maybe we could try it in your district.
So are there any more questions for me? Because
Um,
I need to take care of something else.
Gotta get to work, don't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I don't think this has anything to do with you, but all right, so while I was gone, there was a business that kind of had an issue. As far as I know, the staff was wearing masks and the one individual,
Yeah, they all tested negative, everything's.
yeah, okay, but it just goes to say, if we're gonna have these masks, then why would the business even shut down? Why, I just
For
don't,
safety.
yeah,
For
don't know.
safety and for their being cautious,
yeah.
probably.
But that wasn't an order for them to shut down or anything like that.
They were being responsible citizens to the general public.
Okay.
And doing what
Well,
what they feel is correct.
if that's what's happened, then I'm okay with that, because that was their
No.
choice.
Not mandated.
We never tell anyone to shut down their business.
Okay,
They did this on their own.
That's not our responsibility.
okay. Well, I just wanted to make that clear. I just wanted to know.
As soon as they found out, they locked the doors, and went home and cleaned.
Well,
And self-quarantine.
I gotta
I missed
appreciate
out
that.
on it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to call them out, so I just,
What's on Facebook?
oh, okay. Well, anyway, I just,
And it was the choir factor in Hillsborough.
I thought you were going to call them out.
Well,
I
no,
wasn't.
it's on Facebook. He's not gonna call him out, but I can. It's my relation, and a customer came in, say on Tuesday, and they had symptoms on Wednesday. So they found that out, they went home and got tested on Friday. Got results back Sunday that they're negative. So they're gonna go back to work on Tuesday.
Isn't there a 14-day incubation period or something, though? I mean, I heard all kinds of stuff.
Well, there's
So,
also-
so
Healthcare workers are considered essential and they can work if they take proper precautions as of wearing masks and the proper precautions. If they're deemed essential, which they are, then they can go to work unless they develop symptoms. So they have a modified quarantine. That means they go to work and then after work, they go straight home. They don't go out and attend every event. So that is for law enforcement, healthcare, and first responders.
Deidre, just one quick, I don't want to hold you up, but under the order, there is no reference to churches. Now, there is to nonprofits, which churches are. So are we lumping churches and other nonprofits together?
Yes, this is what Harvey County uses, Sedgwick County uses, and that is what, any public gathering is lumped in that business part. I mean, any business that has public.
I know it's going on for a bit. I do believe this is a very hot topic. It needs to be done. I mean, it's our duty to actually really think about this.
Yeah, nothing else today. I'd like, we passed a motion, we strongly recommend that we don't want to adopt this mandate today, but just kind of,
Your motion would be to strongly recommend masks.
yes.
I would second that motion.
If you want to look at the order,
Discussion.
you have section 3. Under section 3 is with enforcement. It's highlighted, Steve, you highlighted it.
Well, in order,
Everybody see that?
in order for it to be a mandate, it would have to be enforced. Otherwise, it would just be a recommendation.
Mhm.
Well, you've got 4.
Section 2 or 3.
Section
Well, and that is with the new House Bill 2016. Sedgwick County has put the second "or" in there, the lawful order and voluntary compliance. Harvey County has the first, the legal authority section. So that is a kind of a Brad question.
So you could actually strike section 3 and make lawful order voluntary compliance as section 3. Am I mistaken there?
Well, that's what we need to ask Brad, because I believe it was Sedgwick counties had, I've looked at so many orders. I believe it was Sedgwick County that had theirs like lawful and voluntary. And I think that references back to 2016 House Bill.
This, by referencing law and order voluntary compliance as section 3, you're moving into a public health directive instead of a public health mandate.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not an attorney, but that's the way I interpreted it.
I'll break this up, but there is a motion on the table in a second for a strong recommendation on masks. Any other discussion about that?
Yeah, I just feel we need to set an example and try to help slow this down. And
We're not getting anywhere by doing that.
We're moving it from a recommendation to a strong recommendation.
We've already recommended.
In
No,
in your
we just
resolution
recommended.
that you already passed, it did say strong.
Yeah, I mean, what are we bothering with that? We've got this draft right in front of us.
Well, it's, what I'm getting at is there's a misconception
But
that
you're not gonna approve
we
the
didn't
draft.
go strong, but we did. So this is clear in the air.
Anybody that watched the meeting would know. We did.
You know, are we ready to address the draft then today?
You have a motion on the table.
Yeah, the motion, or you retract your motion?
I can retract.
I think you should vote on it.
Okay.
Brad usually refers to.
Everybody in favor of a strong recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 5-0.
But I do think we need to address the draft.
I know.
Today or
We
just work on it?
don't know how, your strong recommendation, is that for 2 days? Is that for a week? That's
Take our resolution, add it.
Order would be the only thing you put a date on, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think the draft Brad probably needs to look at, and maybe he has some way of, if it's coming from the commissioners or if it's coming from the Board of Health. I don't know if you make a resolution. That's a Brad question.
But this came from the commission. Right?
Yeah.
That is what we need to see, because the Board of Health has public health rights and duties and powers under statutes. But with House Bill 2016, that changed a little bit. It has to get the blessing of the commissioners. And I don't know if I'm using the right, it has to be approved or accepted. So once that House bill came out, it kind of changed the authority in a sense. So that's where Brad, to get all the legalities and all the statutes right, that is a attorney question.
You gonna be here today?
He can be, but
No.
probably, well. it's
He
just
has a
matter
copy of that.
So,
Just wondered if that's, you need to bring it back up.
well, he called this morning before the meeting, and he said that he really had no issue with anything in there. But if there's something that you wanted to change, that's fine. So if you want to ask him about it, he's supposed to text when he's either gonna be on the
I mean,
way.
my question is a law and order voluntary compliance, does that take the place of a section 3 pursuant to KSA 65-129B, allowing a mandate with enforcement?
Either one of the two, you
Yeah,
want to
I
know
mean-
which one of the two you want to do.
It says
Right.
It says or right now.
take off number 3.
I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
confused on that.
Well, I'm all in favor if we take the 3 out and put the lawful order and voluntary compliance.
If we can,
I'm not,
that's a legal question.
not in favor of a mandate, so I'm not going to bicker over which one that gets used. So
Well, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but I don't want to spend more time on this if it's not going to go anywhere.
right.
So I think if you guys want it to go somewhere, maybe you can see what Brad thinks and have him, because he does have a copy of this.
I don't think that's disrespectful at all, Deidre. I think that's very appropriate. If we're not going to do anything with it, let's not continue on with this.
I agree.
Well, you just passed something that I don't know
Right.
how long it's in effect. I mean, if you pass this, you put 30 days on it or so, and
After you pass this, you put a time.
put a time frame on it and see where we're at then.
So can't we put a time frame on what we just did?
Well,
Because we've always
What you're
did,
saying is Randy, to go ahead and pass this as a directive and
Yes,
not a mandate.
yes, as a directive, and you put this, it's still
So
voluntary.
the language stays the same except for we're striking section 3 out and we're adding law and order and voluntary compliance, which ends up making it a directive and not a mandate.
I would.
what does that benefit us? I mean, what on the long run, does that benefit us?
It just gives guidelines
Better guidelines, than what we've got.
and it gives a end date, which was, what was in here was like August the 11th.
Yeah, it was about,
I'm trying to figure out what
And then
our
you look at it
resolution
again.
was and if it had an end date.
And
So then I think some of that wording needs to be, if it's just a directive or a resolution, what I'm saying is some of that statute and that wording has to be taken out. So that is, and again, that's a Brad question. So do we just want to wait to have him review it? And if you want to make it as a directive or a resolution, maybe tell him that, and then he can rework it the way it needs to be.
I'd be in favor of doing that.
Yeah.
I also think it needs to be taken care of as quickly as possible.
so we can have it back here Friday.
Yeah, we meet again.
Again Friday. So.
And I would extend the date out.
I mean, if we could get in contact with him and he could look this over and make the changes and get it back to us, we could act on it today.
think you can text it to him and ask him those questions, Tina?
Well, I know he won't be available to be able to do any work on this until he is available, because he has another obligation in the morning, so. But it's still possible to potentially do it today, especially since you'll do a budget work session later, so you could always
That's
come
what I'm
back to
thinking.
it.
Maybe whenever we get done with that.
But
I'm in favor. I'm in favor of doing that.
Would you extend the date out past the 11th, maybe to the end of August?
Well, we put any date on it we want.
I was just trying to find our resolution that, and if it had a date on it for the strong recommendation.
okay, I can find that for you in a little bit.
Okay. Since there was some, just unsure of what that was, so. Anyway, I thank you, Deidre. I don't know that we need to
Okay.
keep here.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so, no. I still feel like it's an important issue, so maybe I went a little long on it, but I think we should seriously have discussions about this. So we're gonna go on administrative business.
I guess, before we go on, I guess the question I asked is just your statement, Jonah. It's important.
Mhm.
If it's important enough for us to do something. If it's not important, let's throw it off the books and forget it then.
I think it's important that, and I'll just go back to that, Randy. I just, last Friday, I told Kent where I stood. I told him, but I felt like he thought it was important. So I asked that it be put on the agenda.
I think we have to take our personal preference out of it and do just what Laura Allen's done, the governor's done, the health board's done, and they're trying to make people aware that it is their responsibility, and we're just trying to enforce to let people know that it is their responsibility. We don't want the mandates that we have to put on. By
You
any means.
have to help yourself.
You got to keep a little push to them, or we're going to get. I think Ron Traxton, the superintendent of Peabody Schools, was in the Peabody or Marion paper I read. He said, "Yeah, you can get strong here, but it's when we get lax, and when we get lax, here it comes again. That's proven." And so I think those are some key words to follow for us and the position we're setting in. We're not just protecting Diane or Randy or Jonah or Kent, or we're trying to protect the people that we live with and stop the spread somehow.
Oh, isn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. So administrative business.
Okay. We have supplements. These do not require signature, just review. In your packet, you just had a public notice from KDHE that has been posted on our website. That was just for your information.
Thank you.
No, that man's 97 years old. That's all. But I know there's an executor there, so that's probably.
Next item is,
Minutes of July 20th.
everybody had a chance to review the minutes. Any questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
And I did provide in your packets a copy of the agreement for the school screens that was mentioned by Deidre last week. And I believe she needs approval.
Oh, it's hearing and vision. Everybody had a chance to review that.
Review what?
The hearing and vision screening. Anybody have any concerns with that? All right. Then I would entertain a motion.
Make that motion to pass that.
Randy, has a motion to pass. I'll second it. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Two copies for you to sign. In your packet, you do have the treasurer's reports. I don't believe she's actually on the agenda today, but I did put it in your packet since we had it. That's all I have.
All right. I seen Gail out there. She's still around, or is she gone? Gail, for the Department of Aging.
There she is.
Yeah,
Morning.
I seen her there. She's been standing out there for a little bit, quite a while.
Right. Well, since we kind of opened back up our doors, I've done like 14 pre-retirement counseling with individuals. People are starting to come back in and call, that kind of thing. We also did the farmers market vouchers that we get usually usually the 1st of June, and they were delayed. They didn't show up till about mid-June. So we've been giving those out, and we have about 11 of those left out of the 30 we got. And the value went up. They were $30 last year, and this year they're $35. Just here in this past month, I've had a lot of people calling about wanting to know about in-home services for family members. And most of that, they've called on the phone and asked for information, so I gave that to them. And then as a result of that, I decided maybe it would be worth putting together a little packet that kind of gave more, that I could either mail out to them so they'd have it or email it to them. So I put that together. We also, because the federal and state returns were not due until July 15th, I did another 12 once we opened back up and got those all done by July 15th. Our last disaster boxes that we got were June 3rd, and we won't get any more of those. And then commodities are coming every month, and we've done those in, well, we just did them last week, and we'll do them here in August. So I don't know if you have any other questions or.
I got a quick one there. I didn't realize that those farmers market checks was good for anywhere in the state of Kansas. I thought it was more local than that, but it is.
When they first came out, you could only use them in your county. And I had, I don't know, a year or two into it, I had a representative, Moran, someone from his office came in and was talking to me, and I said, you know, it would make sense if people could use them anywhere in the county. I mean, anywhere in the state. You know, why do you have to just limit it here? Because people go to Newton or, you know, wherever. And I don't know what I said or other people said, but it changed, so they can use them anywhere. So it's good because we're kind of limited here in the county. Because farmers have to sign up to be part of the program, and they're the only ones who can accept those checks. And so we don't have a lot of people are resistant, or not resistant, but they don't know, like, am I going to have a crop of tomatoes that I can sell? So they don't want to sign up because they don't know if they're going to have enough produce. And we would like to see them sign up. And then if they do, if they don't, that's fine. But at least you have the opportunity to sell. But I know, like here in town,
And this is for the seniors.
this is for 60 and older. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
I have other questions.
All right.
Well, part of
I've been down there, people, I've never seen a check come through. I mean, just somebody pass it, hand it over or something.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's one or two vendors down there that are accepting those, and I'm not sure who they are.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
All right, Bryce. Bryce is on.
I'm here.
All right.
First thing for you is we have both area and transport fuel bids. I believe Tina has those unless she sent them through.
Jonathan out right now.
Okay. We're gonna split it up this week. Everybody submitting bids gets something. So
There you go.
as far as transport, the cooperative was low at $12,405.30.
Is that your recommendation then?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to go with Bryce's recommendation on transport fuel
What's that on?
at $12,405.30. Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Area fuel bids, area 1 and 3 went to EPS, and area 2 went to MFA.
All right. Area fuel bid for areas 1 and 3. For EPS, I'll make a motion to approve. Second. Okay, got a second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Area 2, make a motion to approve for MFA. Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. You
No,
have
go
two, what's that?
Go ahead, Bryce.
Okay, you have 2 utility permits, one from Lowing Trenching, the other is from Rural Water District number 4. No problems. I recommend approval for them.
So taking Bryce's recommendation, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve permit number 2020-13 for low entrenching. 4 under the road of 250th by Greg Weens residence. Address is 1817 250th,
Actually, just 817.
817. Got a second by Kent or Randy? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one is a permit 2020-12. Rural Water District number 4. Bore and case 2-inch water, 4-inch casing are 1,200 feet north of US 56. Highway on Falcon. Got a second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As far as the cost share, I sent you last week, everybody by email, a draft of what I was going to send out for bid. We've got, it's primarily completed. There's a few little things I need to add yet. The biggest question that I would like to propose to the commission is, in order to expedite, or I guess ask your opinion, what you want to do. Typically we go out to bid, these are opened, whether you want to do it publicly in the commission. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to do that, I can establish a date. I'm kind of waiting on the plans to get back from KDOT, which I anticipate middle to the end of this week. I can set up a time. I'll put a time in the bid documents for a Monday commission meeting, if that's what you would like. And depending on what's on the agenda or whatever else, we could say set it up early afternoon, whatever else, again, at your whatever you guys would like. And then I would basically have to have a day or two or whatever else to go back and check these things over. And then whether you wanted to wait another week or whether you wanted to have a special commission meeting to approve those, and then the sooner they're approved, the sooner we get things started. Now, the other thing we could do is we could establish it maybe on a Thursday or Friday before the commission meeting to have a public bid opening, and then give me a day or two again over the weekend to look things over so that we could approve them on Monday again. Obviously, the sooner the better. So I will have to go out to bid for at least 2 weeks. I've contacted basically everybody that would potentially be involved with it to let them know that this will be coming out. They're all ready. It's just a matter of going through the formal process. So I guess I want to ask the commission, which way you would rather go, or if you have another way that you would like to go with that.
Bryce, just a suggestion. I like your Thursday bid letting and then come back to us on Monday, the following Monday.
Okay. And again, it's based on when I get the plans back from KDOT, given, 2 or 3 weeks to get that in the mill. I'd probably, we're looking at the middle of August, but unfortunately
dealing with the requirements for the bid letting, there's not much we can do about it. So, but
okay.
if there's. You will be the engineer and on
Yes.
this project?
Yes.
And so those bids that we get on Thursday will be unopened, right? And they will be opened right here in public, correct?
Correct. The
Okay.
bid should be closed till it gets up here and we open it in public, correct?
Yes, that's the way it's specifically labeled in there. They're supposed to be labeled as sealed bids. Would you want me to set it up like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something to that effect? Would that work for you, or?
I think so. Just
Okay.
something to that, yes.
Okay. Well, like I said, based on when I get those back, I will put that information. Then I will, try to look at the calendar and get something scheduled as soon as I can based on meeting the requirements for bidding and stuff. So, but anyway, I think if we, the way things hold out, the weather holds out, I think we'll be able to get it done is our hope. So, so I will get those in there. I sent you a copy of the tickler this morning by email. Sorry, we didn't get the typed information in there. We finished it up last week and didn't do that. Once we get we get it typed in there, I could send you another copy. It makes it a little bit easier to look at, but just done in pencil, we are caught up through that. So as far as an update, we haven't got the tickets back from the rock haulers. I'm planning on working on that today. Hopefully get that back to you. As far as the chip seal goes, we are now finished with 140th east of Sunflower. We've gone down and back, and we're, I believe, between 110th and 120th coming back with the other lane. once we get back to Sunflower, we will pull both lanes in, as in pull one lane, a mile or 2 miles, whatever it is, and then go back and pull the other mile to keep caught up. We have notified the city of Marion that we'll be coming into town, I guess pending weather. That's the other thing. It doesn't look good for this week for much of our operations when it comes to that. But weather permitting, we should be back into Marion the end of this week or maybe first of next week. I said last week we were going to try to work maybe alternate time or whatever else to come right into the city, especially right at the Main Street and Main and Third, simply because all the traffic that goes through there. It'd be beneficial for all of us to try to get that done with less traffic. But again, weather permitting, we'll see how things go there. As far as rock, I know the guys, we had hauling rock on 110th last week. I believe we're still hauling the hard rock up north on Limestone, north of Tampa. Again, I'll try to follow up with all that to get actual numbers. And I guess last was, I also sent you all a text last week. Unfortunately, we had a landowner do some damage on 190th between Cairns and Limestone. I got called out of there, and for safety reasons, I decided to close the road. Again, we're going to try to get it fixed up today if we can just get the weather to break to get some oil and patching material up there. But the center part of the road had about 2 inches of asphalt taken out of it, and would have been very disastrous for cars, let alone motorcycles, to go through there. So we will hopefully get to that today, or the very next chance we have, we can get a couple hours of decent weather to go out there and get that done. So
Bryce, was that a farm implement on the road?
yes, it is, or yes, it was. The county deputy was actually out there. He was the one that first made it out there. Our on-call man was called. He in turn called me out there. And so they've done their documentation. I think they were trying to find out exactly who it was. We are going to keep track of all of our costs, obviously, because it should be an insurance claim or something to that effect from the person that damaged it.
Insurance liability claim filed on that from the individual.
Yes. Yeah. It's there's the cost to get it fixed is only one of the things, because I do know that you have users costs. We have barricades up there. People are having to go 3 miles around instead of one on there. So I definitely understand that we need to get it open as soon as we can, but we also have to open it safely. So
Just one more comment. I got a compliment the other day on the rebuild on Diamond, so just letting the commission know that the public likes what they've seen out there.
yeah, we're kind of, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to push the big rock to get it pushed down into the base, because we were, I guess, planning on or dealing with the rain, and we're obviously going to keep working it, or we'll keep putting rock on it, but we always got to be careful not to tear it up right away. So I also wanted to say too, watching these guys chip seal, I've had a lot of people compliment our chip seal guys too. Honestly, in the 30 years that I've been around, I think it's one of the best chip sealing jobs I've ever seen all the way around. So I've been very impressed, and I think they deserve that pat on the back, because I think they're doing a very good job. So, but other than that, that's all I had, unless you guys have anything else.
No, we're good. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Bryce.
All right, thanks.
All right. Moving on to Josh. Peace.
Poor Josh.
Hey.
Are we? All right. Wanted to discuss about getting a little more tougher on some of these people who do not spray or do any of that. I don't know how far I can go. I'm hoping Brad's online. I did ask Brad to come in to kind of help, but We do have a list of people that we send our letters to. You know, we gotta send the two, is that right? 2 legals or just one?
Josh, can you make sure that your microphone is close enough to you? Thank you.
So I know I've got people ask me about, you know, if we're enforcing it, and, you know, I'd like to try getting enforced and try to get people to do their duties of landowners. I guess I don't know how far, you know, what we need to do in here. If I gotta bring each one up every time I wanna do something, or I can just do it. 'Cause either there's force spray, or we can send them through the courts, and there'll be fines and costs and everything. But, you know, we've talked to other companies about force spraying for us, but those companies don't want to force spray for us. So we're kind of looking at having to do it ourselves.
Why don't they want to? I mean, because we would pay them.
We would pay them. They don't want to have their name out there saying, well, the county uses them to force spray, and them lose business because they're doing something for us.
Never
We've
heard of
talked to
that.
a few of them, and that's
Really?
how they feel. They don't want to, they want to do it for people who are in agreement to doing it.
It's amazing how people anymore are just kind of afraid to do the right thing.
Josh, these individuals you're talking about, they've been noticed probably more than once, right?
Yeah, several years
Why don't
prior.
we just spray it and put it on the tax roll?
We can do
That's our
that.
option.
Yeah, that's our option.
And I know that out in my part of the country, we've got some Sarisa problem,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already invaded, you know, some of the landowners are trying to take care of things.
Yeah.
And it's not just been in the last, it's been several years,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing nothing. So I think, especially, we're getting into the time of year, I'm just talking about Sarisa, this is the time of year to start spraying it now until through maybe September, something like that. They say that's the best time to do it, you get the best results.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, you know, I think you've got full latitude to go do it. They've
Do
been on notice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's specific notice that you need to provide to them, but if you're gonna put it on the tax roll as a special.
Okay.
So, that's something that, you know, Brad can confirm, but
Mm-hmm.
you'd have to give them, you have to send them a specific notice that says if it's not done by this date, you're going to do it. And they have to have a specific time period to correct it.
Okay.
And then you have to explain what the consequence is. If it's not done by, you know, if the county does this, this is how much it's going to cost, and it will be added to your real estate.
Okay.
So there's a specific language you have to use. And that's already in the letters. Okay, good. And there's a time frame. We've already got it.
So it's kind of time critical, especially on Sarisa, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get it sprayed by.
Yeah.
In the opportune time.
But we've got less of the ones that come in the fall.
Yeah. Must.
By the time we catch all these bad ones, it's too late. They're already seeded out. So when
Force
this
spray
already
for the
goes into the
fall
musk
for musk thistle.
The other thing was the cost.
The cost, how do we want to charge this? You know, I know the aerials charge per acre. A lot of them charge per acre. We want to charge more than what they charge to kind of show, because I'm afraid if we charge that or less, they're going to say it's cheaper for the county to do it.
They're already
So,
asking us to spray anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd want to do it any cheaper than, you know, a custom applicator.
I think you'd want to do it for slightly more, so that way I would encourage them to go hire somebody and have it taken care of.
That's kind of what I
I
was.
agree.
And do it 10%.
And then there's a, yeah, I think, you know, we get done spraying, we charge them, there's a 10%. And I think it can be divided out in the 4 years for them to pay off on their taxes, if I remember right.
Well, that's crazy.
That's what the new law.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that there again-
Charge you a full bill in 1 year. Has to be prorated per year.
Mhm.
So what happens if you gotta spray it again next year?
We do it over again. It
So it
goes
just-
on our
you just
taxes.
extend it.
We
Starts
just keep,
stacking?
it just stacks and keeps going on.
So there's more money that we're putting out, and there's one of it. Maybe gonna be two, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's an issue, because we have to buy more herbicide, and we have to pay for it 1 year, and they get 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the labor and everything, the time consuming it takes you guys, that's terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, they should pay dearly for that.
Do you guys like charge, when you send out a letter, I mean, put that on the account that, you know, this is another $50 charge that goes on that account that we have to notify? I mean, that's one way that
Yeah.
you could charge what the commercial people charge, but then your services for managing the account, I guess, maybe what you call it.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Every time you drive out to look at it, that's a $50 charge,
Okay.
because that's your time and labor, and
Okay.
if you send a letter, you know, that costs $25 for you to type the letter. You can do it that way.
Okay.
So you could be market value for your service, but you added more services to it.
Mm-hmm.
About
Okay.
how large areas are you talking about in acres? 80 acres?
There's some that are, 80s, and there's few that are, half sections, sections.
So that's gonna take a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
I know there was an instance years ago in the county where the county hired an aerial sprayer and did 3,000 acres.
Mm-hmm.
3,000.
And you say the aerial people don't want to do it?
The few that we've talked to, they don't, those are locals that come here and they'll spray. They don't,
Well, maybe if we go a little further out, they won't be quite so fearful. Maybe they'll come in and do it.
we can check into that too.
A lot of more liability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it was an
They're afraid they're
aerial
gonna get
sprayer
sued.
kind of in adjacent county or something, but.
Yeah.
The other issue is if we can't get another spray, not all these are where that pickup's gonna go.
I'm just thinking in grassland acres with ground rigs, it's so hard to get around
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have a flat pasture with no trees and no creeks that doesn't exist in this
Yeah.
country.
If we do, usually it's not bad with stuff, it's where the creeks and trees and everything
Yeah.
else are.
So, I mean, aerial spraying makes a lot of sense on some of that.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to do to move forward on?
Yeah, we need you. Just keep going.
Does the figures need to come by you guys for what he decides, or just go?
Probably should be addressed and approved. And it is a form of oversight, so you're not just stepping on people, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask some other questions, and Johnson grass it's wild. I mean,
Mm-hmm. It is.
it's crazy. And, that's supposedly a noxious weed, and it's a pain in the butt if you get it on,
Mhm.
and- But my idea is for you guys to monitor it. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you can't, because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And you got some small towns, they don't spray for it
Mm-hmm.
inside the towns.
Yeah.
And the railroads got it everywhere up and down the railroads. But they do try once a year or so, usually they try to get theirs done. But for you to monitor it, and then even if somebody drives by and turns somebody in that they've got a 12 to 12 patch of Sudan or Johnson grass out there. I don't know. I don't want you beating your bushes to try to take care of all of that. I mean, you got bigger, better things. You got 80 acres of it out here, of other stuff. So that's a tough one. And I don't know what the commission really wants our people to do with some of that.
Well, I think we try to take care of the roadway, Johnson grass.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah.
We got
Well,
two
that's getting
tanks.
kind of brown, so I'm guessing it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've seen some, just, what do they tell their people when they say like, just because they don't like, not because of them, but the reporting party don't like somebody, so you see the 12 patch of Johnson grass on there, and the rest of it's been mowed, it's mowed quite frequently, and that's not the correct way to take care of Johnson grass. But you can spray and spray and spray, and it just, unless you really kill everything, I think I bought some plant, and it works. It's working.
Yeah.
But I don't know, nothing's growing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing underneath of it anyway.
Yeah,
Go back in.
yeah. So we'll see what happens as time goes by. But yeah. So that's just something that they're faced with that I really want to bring to the commission's attention. That Johnson grass issue is a tough one.
Mhm. It is.
And we're probably never gonna have less noxious weeds. We'll probably
Probably
have
get more.
more.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people are pushing to list locust trees as noxious.
Oh, geez.
If you get into that.
Yeah.
you really have issues.
All right.
That's another one that's pain.
So you're gonna present a fee to take care of some things, and then we'll look at that and approve it. Is there anything else that we need to address right here today?
No. Last week I did forget about the transfer station. We had a couple blowouts on a truck, and so when I put tires on, I do a whole axle. I did go over $1,000 just by a few dollars, so I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. It's not, I'm trying to step over anybody, I needed them, I couldn't wait, so.
There's a difference between need it and getting it done and preparing,
So,
if something happens. So, yeah.
Wanted
We
you guys to be aware of that, so.
need to make a motion or anything to okay this one, or, I mean, no, okay.
Not who's in need in emergency repair.
No, I just don't, somebody pointed out that, hey, you went over, so. So, okay.
And I get a lot of compliments thanking you for what you're doing, the whole department, so.
We appreciate that. We hear a little about that, and we've got a few that come in and tell us, but.
Good.
All right.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Commission 2021 budget prep.
Okay, I know Scott's here, I saw his stuff in the morning. Just following up on the question that you had earlier about the resolution, there was no time frame on it. It was just basically saying that Marion County was opting out of the governor's mandate, and that we are basically strongly recommending face coverings in public, social distancing, and hand washing up. Something to that effect, right, Jonah?
Right.
So no time frame.
No time frame, so we could repeal it, or when the governor's mask mandate itself was to be repealed, because it's somewhat tied to that, right? The 20-52. So if that was to go away, either or would drop it out of effect. I don't know. I underlined it.
So just to answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, better get prepared for a long sit. Scott will take over here in just a short bit.
So the clerk is out of the room, but I don't know, Scott here?
Yeah, he's here.
We want to take a short recess. Take 5. Everybody okay with that? All right, I'll recess for 5 minutes.
Oh, go ahead. How's it going?
Good, how's it going? It's just you and me here, you guys and me.
Yeah.
There we go.
So did you guys pass? Monday?
Oops, sorry. So I went over there to him.
I did, I wasn't, I figured everybody else was doing it, but.
Nope, we got it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello?
Instead of printing all the paper out on the budgets again, these are several things that we're gonna talk about. And if I know the answers to these questions, then the budget can be finalized.
We can nail it down.
We'll see. Hopefully. I need to take this sheet. Hang on, what to do. This will be the salary for 2021 with no increase. So we can actually, that's what it's. We would actually have all these numbers.
Okay.
Put all that in. Yeah, my wife's gonna love it. I'm gonna tell them all that, but I went to copy that this morning down there in our color copier in her office, or our office, and I forgot it was yellow. I didn't think about it copying all the yellows, so I'm sure I drained her color printer.
Dang, we get a copy with the personal handwriting here.
We're gonna get her done today.
All right.
No reason to give you all those other sheets if we can't get these questions answered.
I see.
Nothing like starting off with the big one. What do you want, the mill levy?
Yeah, I see that.
So Brad's on the phone. Do you want him just to call in? Do you want him to come? What do you want him to do?
Well, I can't speak for the others. I mean, I'd like to have a little bit of clarification on this.
Okay,
I think he could call in.
okay,
Probably calling in would work.
okay. Well, he's on the phone right now, but you can call in on the meeting or we can dispatch him.
He's not gonna come.
Just get in your car like Scott, drive over here.
Last week,
Everybody's just so used to getting on the phone or the computer
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
It's about to drive me bananas.
well, last week, we're doing a lot of this spark money now. Just all of a sudden, one county after another county and another county, we're up to 17 counties.
Do you really?
And
You can't drive to all those, can you?
well, I did last week to 13 of them.
Wow.
And
If any of them,
1,600 miles I drove last week because that first meeting I wanted to be in person.
Yeah.
All the ones
Yeah.
after that are Zoom or whatever, but I just told them I'm old school and,
Yeah.
and I want to meet you face to face. Some of them I knew, some I didn't.
Right.
And then all these county clerks, you think about it, they're really getting overwhelmed because they got, some do all the budgets, which Tina does some of, or the townships and stuff. And then all of them have got the election on the 4th.
Yep.
And they look, one of them out in Gray County, they were gonna turn the money back to the state of Kansas because the commissioner said, I'm not gonna do it. So you gotta find something else. And I have a heart, I just know small counties and cities well enough that $1 million, that one was $1.2 million going back to the state and not staying in Gray County is gonna be an incredible impact. So that's how I got a lot of these is I got Greeley, Stanton, Gray, Donovan, You know where all those are at.
One side,
They're like,
yeah.
yeah, they're like, I'm from one side of the state to the other, in Omaha.
You're gonna have to buy something other than a big four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I headed out, I did it on Friday, I went up that way. And I pulled out the building with Old Blue and man, the night before was kind of come back from Dodge or Gray County. It just wasn't, for some reason, it wasn't running. It was a hot and humid day. I am not driving Old Blue and that fan would go out and I see, you know, I mean, so I had to drive the black truck on that one. So it kept me cool, but I didn't get home till 10 o'clock.
What model is that black one you got?
16.
16?
Yeah, but I've already got 115,000. 200,000. I drive a lot. And that's what a lot of these people are gonna start using this. You'll probably have, which is okay in some cases, like, Zoom meetings. Last year, I'll tell you, we picked up Dodge at community college and we had to get the audit report and I'd never given the audit report. It was the first one. So Christine and I looked at the weather and that was when there was a snowstorm that come through and it was worse out that way. So we got an old black truck and I said, I'm not doing Zoom, I'll be there. And when I knew it wouldn't be too bad coming back, it was a blizzard out there past St. John. I mean, you know how that, it gets so big and it's coming across.
Yeah, and
You just can't
see.
like, okay, where am I at here? You know, I mean,
Yeah, it does, it'll mesmerize.
but they really, that's just something about that personal service. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Breath on the phone.
So they appreciate it. So
He
we can do
has-
Zoom.
He
Back
sent the
then,
draft
I
and
had,
it doesn't
you know,
look the
didn't,
same.
back then, Zoom was okay, but now I feel more, feel more comfortable probably to do it. I was on the plot of Waterman County this morning, you know, their commission.
Are you there?
And, just
I'm gonna-
just talking to them about all of it.
Sure.
So there's sometimes it's good,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
sometimes it's better to be in person. Yeah, we're getting real old school
Okay.
today because we got handwritten notes.
You are on speaker.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Out of recess.
You're gonna have to talk loud because he's not hearing you on
Oh.
the phone. No.
Is it be better if I called you, Brad?
I'm sorry,
Would it be better if I called you on my phone?
it might be, because that tends to be a little clearer.
Okay,
This one cuts in and out, and people don't pick that, you know, it doesn't pick them up right away.
okay.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you then.
All right.
Was he at the office or was he mobile?
Who are you calling to?
We'll find out.
Call his cell phone.
And then just make sure that you hold it up to the microphone so people can hear them.
Right. Yeah, is Brad there? Okay, no, I was supposed to call him on the Marion County Commission. And, okay, maybe I need to put his cell phone.
Wasn't there.
Huh?
He
I
wasn't
thought I
there.
did, but I'm not sure.
Well, I
I'll go ahead
didn't.
and just get it, so I have it. Here, he's been in today. Yep, it's him. All right, thank you. Okay. Hey, Brad?
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you it was on my cell phone.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah, I called the office and she was looking up the number for me, so. Yeah.
no, that's fine.
All right, so I got you close to my mic. Hopefully everybody can hear you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Can you hear me fine?
yep, I can, just
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
We're going back to order.
Oh, you wanted to review that order?
Well, is that what he's calling in about?
Yes. You had said you wanted him to.
Switch gears.
So have you had a chance to review the Board of Health order?
The one that,
Yeah, with the highlights?
yep, I went ahead and revised it, and sent that back. Actually, since I was sitting in a hearing, we had a plan I went ahead and forwarded it, so it would be there. It basically doesn't change the intent, but she mentioned the statutory authority, et cetera, which, I included. added a couple of additional paragraphs at the beginning. All they are factual things. When the emergency order was issued, the federal mandate in terms of emergency, and then the Kansas statutory authority for her to declare it for purposes of a pandemic or any other kind of medical or health emergency, certain types of requirements. I do have an email from her as I started out driving, indicating that she would prefer, even though most of the counties have done it this way with what she introduced, that's the template, and then we've added what we needed to it and included the dates when we declare our local disaster emergency. She would prefer that it be a resolution of the county commission. If that's the case, we have to revise the whole thing and put it in that kind of template. The basic elements would be the same, but it would become a resolution of the county as opposed to an order from the local health officer. The order that she prepared with my revisions is binding, and it would be fine for that purpose if that's what you're inclined to do. Is create a mass mandate, but I'm just mentioning that because she sent that to me, and I haven't had a chance to call her back. So that was just a little bit ago to check and see what exactly she would like to see done. But I do know she said in there she was her preference to have it be a county resolution. So we can take the contents of this order that's prepared and signed by her and create a county resolution that's signed by the commission as a whole, if you wish.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean,
This is what we voted on?
no. We voted on a resolution I passed that around earlier.
Yeah. Right.
That was voted on, that was a resolution. 2020 dash, I don't know where it wound up. It was down there by Diane.
Yeah, you want it back?
What resolution number is that?
It is 2020-20.
Okay. And that's the one that we approved, and that one strongly encouraged use of masks.
Yes.
This would be something different. This would be.
Yep. From what I read in it, this would be a mask mandate. And the order that she had emailed to all of you, I think over the weekend, is what I was referencing. I just supplemented that with as she had noted in there, the areas where statutory authority would be included. I put in several paragraphs that trace the chronology of what's been done at both at the federal and state level, and then the statutory authority that allows the local health officer to make that kind of declaration in the health and welfare interests of the county residents. So the one that she prepared and the one that I revised was the one she sent over the weekend, and it still stands as an order of the local health officer. And I was just mentioning that she emailed while as I was just leaving, and indicated that she preferred a county resolution as opposed to the order as she had submitted it.
So having not the actual item in front of us, I think we ought to review this.
I would agree. What I provided changes very little from what she sent you, but if we're going to turn it into a resolution, then I need to put all of the legal niceties into it in a resolution form. It will still contain in great substance everything she put in that order, but it would have the opening salutation and a few changes there, as well as the final that was passed on such and such a date, et cetera, with provision for all of the commissioners to sign, as opposed to this one being signed by the local officer.
Brad, if it comes out as the health deal, it's still voluntarily, we're still not enforcing any.
If you say that again, I'm sorry, if it comes out as the what deal?
if it comes out as the health board, and it's still voluntarily, we're not enforcing any police action or anything like that, correct?
She's, you know, again, it's a tough one to answer in a definitive way because it's a mask mandate. If you read through it, and you probably should, before you want to be comfortable with that. So it basically is indicating that residents should. Okay, that's the best way I can answer that. We're not going to enforce the civil penalties. I don't think that the Attorney General's office was on board with that. And so I think most all of the sheriff's departments in every jurisdiction have come to the conclusion that in terms of county jurisdictions, that they're not going to go out and cite someone. Plus, it's a civil penalty, the way that the executive order from the governor was written. So that really you're going before the district court to get a civil order. You're not prosecuting someone criminally for that type of an offense. So the county attorney wouldn't even necessarily be involved. So that's a long-winded answer, but I think the mandate says just that. You're mandated to do it, very much like Harvey County, for example, and some of the other surrounding counties.
Correct.
But if you don't, probably the worst case scenario you have, which is really in place even now, private business owners can put a sign on the door and indicate they won't serve anyone who doesn't come in wearing a mask. And if they ask them to leave and refuse them service, they can call law enforcement for the trespass. So we move into an intervening event has caused the law enforcement to get involved, and they will. In that case, no different than if someone came in and created a disturbance,
right? And
they called the police department, the sheriff's office for assistance.
Okay.
So they kind of enforce it individually, but it is not necessarily something that, even though we're saying we want you to wear them throughout the county in public, where social distancing, for example, is not completely available to you on internal spaces, inside structures, etc., or in mass gatherings of any sort. If people don't, candidly, I don't see anything that's going to result as any kind of a punitive measure against them.
Okay, thank you.
So Brad, wouldn't this be considered a directive rather than a mandate?
I think so. I mean, it's probably the better terminology for it.
Yeah.
That we're directing all citizens to do this in the best interest of the collective jurisdiction. But they have used the term mandate in all of the governor's orders for the most part. So it just kind of follows down the line that way. That's
it's pretty specific under section 2. It says, however, this is a public health directive.
Yeah.
As identified within section 9 of 2020.
And that's, and I'm much more comfortable with that language, to be candid, because that's exactly what it is.
Right.
We're telling you should do this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
everyone's best interest.
It needs to be, if we would approve this, it needs to be clear to the public, this is not a mandate. This is a directive.
I would agree.
I'd ask everybody to reread the resolution we already passed. I mean,
it's actually listed as a health officer order. The way the title after I revised it, it said, and again, I have no problem if you'd like to convert it to a resolution, but that would obviously be not, but for comfort's sake, I would want to draw that, distribute it to you, make sure you had all read it first before you acted on that.
I was pointing at our resolution 2020-20.
Oh, okay.
And how a lot of the language is kind of in there already.
Yeah, it's really not materially different. At that point, it's a strong urging.
Mm-hmm.
This just simply says, no, now we're directing you to do this. Just try a slightly stronger language, I guess is the best way to say it.
I'm done with him then.
You're good?
I'm good.
Randy says he's good. Everybody else?
Yeah. Good in what account?
as far as they're done, as far as advice.
So is this something that you want me to put on Friday and let you look at?
Oh, yeah, because, you know, we may want to act on a directive, not a mandate. Even though a lot of it is dressed in here, there's some key points in there.
Can I ask that?
Yeah, I will happily, and revise it, or if you prefer, given that that's what she had indicated in her email, it'd be formed up as a resolution, again, with those changes, to utilize it as a directive. I'll certainly alter it if you want to have it in that form, and then just put it on this special meeting on Friday or end of month meeting.
Okay, Brad, Diane's got a question for you.
Yeah.
So Brad, in our resolution 2020-20, like Jonah had stated, it pretty much covers, I mean, not in the detail that this does, but what is the advantage of going into this type of detail if we're not going to enforce it? And by going into this type of detail, do you not think it's going to create even more confusion? Because this really outlines and defines what you can and cannot do. We're telling all employers, you must have your employees wear a mask, even if there's no public or vendor or anybody in your building. I mean,
yeah, there's no question it's stronger language. I can't really speak to the confusion element of it because that's the body collective as to how people read it, but I understand your question. This goes a step further than what you've previously done. Previously, it was basically saying the same things, urging the behavior, and simply saying it would be in everyone's best interest, we believe, to adopt in your individual day-to-day operations a mask requirement and to utilize one in public. This basically turns it more into, well, it's semantics, but to a directive. They do use the term mandate several places, I'll admit, indicating we're directing you to do that. So it's slightly stronger. But I'm not going to mislead anyone. I don't believe that you're going to see someone come into a place of business and start citing people. And I may be speaking out of turn there, but that's generally been the Attorney General's position on it, was that we didn't really feel like, from a criminal perspective, for example, that this was going to be enforced. And if you note the executive order, it provides for a civil penalty in there, which means that you're going to district court on a civil matter, not prosecuting someone as though it was a criminal trespass or something like that, unless their behavior subsequent to a request to put one on suggests that they have violated the law in that way. They create a scene, they refuse to leave a particular business location, that kind of thing. So, as to whether it is more confusing, can't really say. I mean, I think you can make that argument, and you can certainly evaluate it on that basis yourselves. But there is no question that this is not before you just as busy work. It is a slightly more strident form of statement than just a strong recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, coming back down the line to Jonah.
Anybody else have anything else? Okay. Thank you for that, Brad. We will review, and I guess we'll readdress at another date.
Okay. The other one that we had on today, and I had told him I would plan to answer anything that came up with regard to our control of noxious weeds issue. Are there questions regarding that presentation, or what our alternatives are in the event enforcement is required above and beyond simply going through the department, sending out the letters and dealing with it? It's come to my attention repeatedly through the department that they have some concerns about getting people to comply, and ongoing repeat offenders that are becoming a stressor for them and adjacent property owners.
I think it was addressed that they should go ahead and handle it at a higher fee than they could have it hired out to do.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to follow up with that at all, but I'm sure Josh will be in contact with you just to make sure it's all legit.
Sure. And that's fine. I just wanted to be sure if there were any other questions from that aspect in terms of the alternatives that we can utilize to compel property owners to comply. And we have that ability. It's just, you hope you don't ever have to use that, but it appears that some of them are sufficiently lax in this that could be a possibility, or at least it's been something that the department has raised and is entertaining.
Right. Yeah, I guess that'd be it, unless you have anything else.
No, I have a couple of memoranda and some additional documentation that just got to me this morning on some of our current litigation.
Okay.
That I will do in memo form and send out. It isn't something that I planned on necessarily going over. Some of it I just got this morning, so I need to review it all and then send it out to all of you, and I'll do that.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Brad. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, yeah. Marion County budget 2020.
Okay. I'm gonna ask, should I have my mask on or what I'm talking?
It's a strong recommendation, so.
Can they hear me? That's what I was.
Unless we can't understand you.
Yeah.
And you're more than 6 feet apart from everyone in the room except for your assistant.
Yeah, and you rode together, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave off so you.
It's
so
too
that's
late.
clear. Okay. Okay, so last time we met, there were some questions that, I said I need answered before I can go any further with the budget. So what I did is I sat down and looked at all my notes, and I came up with these 2 pages of points. And I decided not to make 40 copies, 40 pages, because there's no reason to make them if we're, so if we go through these, hopefully we can, you'll have a better understanding kind of what's left. My wife's probably gonna say, goodness gracious, why did you copy that on my color printer? That's how you guys end up with your yellow pages.
Cool.
Okay. So first one, I would just start off first. Where do you want the mill levy? And you don't have to answer that right this moment, but we had this conversation last time. Do we want to leave it? If you remember, if you wanted to leave it where that second or the third line down on that part where it says reduction in assessed value is going to reduce the mill levy from last year by 0.177. If you remember that, that's 24,780. That's 1 point. The second one was we talked about is a tax lid, the second line down. The tax lid is 232,776. That's 1.663. If you want the tax lid, you have to increase the mill levy by 1.663, okay? And then the 0.177 if you wanted to make up that 24,000. So there's a couple options there. Some of, I think last time you talked about, it just went up 1 mil. So that was another option I think we talked about. So we don't have to answer that question right now, but I wanted to get that out in front here because what I want to show you in these other questions are things that actually I went through and made notes of that would maybe help you make that decision, okay? So the next bullet down is where do you want personal services? This morning I was given 2020 and 2021 budgeted personnel service numbers, and 2021 was 0% with no increase. And there'll be, I guess that would be some, if people had longevity or had those types of, that would be in the 2021 numbers. Is that correct?
Yes, or if there have been staffing increases. So there are some increases
Yeah.
for 2021, even with no raise.
With no raise, yeah. And so I have not dropped those in yet because I'm kind of waiting to see what we decided, okay? So that all in, whatever we decide to do with that is actually then impacted on the employee benefit fund, because that's where all the employee benefits come from. So if there's a big raise, you know, if there's 1% or 2%, then all that would change over the employee benefit fund also. So that's tied to that. So we can kind of wait on that too as we go through the rest of things. Currently right now, I'm working with about 17 counties on the CARES Act. I was thinking about this a little bit on yours. I'm actually working with your county. I appreciate the opportunity. Working with Rusty's the chairperson, Rusty Allen. I was thinking about, there's some questions, a few questions still to be answered, but the health department, management, and some of those get reimbursed on some of their, whether it's salaries or all that, that would help your budget, you know. But some of that, I believe, or maybe all of it was taken out of the risk management fund, or did you, I mean, not the salaries, but any of the expenses to the courthouse, or?
As of right now, any expenses to county departments that are not salaries are risk management.
So come out of risk management, they're not salaries, okay.
Not salaries. We have tracked like certain parts of it on the salaries.
Yeah. Okay.
Computers was bought and things like that to get ready for COVID. So that, yeah.
So there will be some money that you'll get back based on your reimbursements, and those reimbursements we won't know before we finalize the budget from the standpoint of working on it, but we would know it before what the reimbursements will be before we actually, August 17th at 5 p.m. is the 15th comes on a Saturday. That's when everything is due for reimbursements. So we'll know before the budget hearing, but we won't have it before we finalize the budget. The second piece of that CARES Act, you'll also have a chance to put in for funds under this SPARK funding for a direct aid plan. And so that direct aid plan is also due August 17th at 5 o'clock. And what that is you would come up, your committee and the people that represent the county would come up with anything from here till December 30th. It would have to be acted on. But for example, over at Stafford County, they're looking at putting touchless toilets in the courthouse, because that would be a legitimate expense. Can you get it done by December 30th? Maybe not, but it would allow you to encumber it now. Is what our directive is now, that if the supply chain is throwing off your, because it's going to happen. I mean, all these counties and schools and cities are doing all this at the exact same time. So the contractors, all that. So that one was $58,000 to do their courthouse and touchless toilets. Things like that would help your budget if that's something that, you know, I'm just telling you this because that all kind of plays in to your mill levy, okay? So those are things that are expenses that we want to make sure that direct aid plan is very detailed if you have those expenses, because those is money that you get to put back to your county budget, okay? Also along those lines, last time I was here, we talked about, and I'm jumping down just a little bit, but I'm going to keep the federal funding together. You go down to the second bullet from the bottom, the FEMA money. I don't know if there's any bit more movement there with the road and bridge, or if you guys maybe need help with that too. But that's something we've talked about. That's a pretty sizable amount, I assume, for the gravel roads. In May of last year was one of the big ones. I know four different times. I'm in the past, it's been as much as $500,000-600,000. I don't know if it'll be that much in this case, but that's a lot of money. And so you know, if we get the Sparks money done, if you need help, if the road and bridge can't get it pulled off, then it's worth it to, you know, to get her done. Because $500,000-600,000, and that's about 4 meals. So it's worth looking at. Okay, then just remind you of some of these things. The Tampa Road will actually drop off after the 2020 budget. For 21, that would be, we would not be paying out of the road and bridge. That would be the 1, 2, 3, fifth bullet down, the Tampa Road, 232,466, 1.66 mils. That will not be coming out of the road and bridge department for 2021. The next one, I'm just picking up big payments here that'll drop off. 2021, you'll still pay the windows to the courthouse. That's in the general fund of 83,319. That's about 0.6 mil. So I'm just trying to show you ahead of time, there may be some opportunity here for different things that you can use cash that I'm always trying to protect the unencumbered cash balance and make sure that, you're not, if you don't raise the mill levy or you keep it flat, that your cash is not, just going away. So that's something to think about. Sales tax, the last I looked, I haven't looked at, I don't know if there's been another one since I've been here, if you got numbers, but sales tax so far seems strong, and that's true across all the different cities and counties I've been working on. It seems like all of them, between the grocery stores and the hardware stores and those, Walmarts or whatever you got in your county, it's amazing. Sales tax has definitely held its own. Diane, this question is for you. This point is for you, the very bottom one, road and bridge. I actually looked this up. You look the next page, in the 19 budget, which was the easiest one, or 19 actual, the easiest to get, I tried to go through the budget to see what the road and bridge expenditures were of the total budget. So what you have there is you have road and bridge expenditures were 4.6 million. The general fund had 409 that was transferred over to capital improvement, which really wasn't expenditure, but I put it in there so that it's part of those numbers. Special bridge 189 and special machinery 317. So there's a little bit of duplication there because in that 4.6 million of road and bridge, the transfer over to special machinery would be in there also. So there's some transfers in here I've not backed out. Over the right of that, there was 240,000. That was this 80% share of the sales tax that didn't show anyway. Spent the general fund, which typically it is. So that was one that wasn't in there. And the other one was in the capital improvement for 19, there was nothing spent out of capital improvement. I mean, in one year, that could be, $1 million depending on what road you're doing, if you're doing projects. So that would be fluctuating. But roughly, the first column is 37%, the second column would be 39% of the actual net expenditures. So it's roughly 35 to 40% probably.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Ambulance, if you'll remember, we set aside in the budget, and I had a note, the last thing there that said, let's put 200,000 in the 2021 column for the place over there. 400,000 is over under the memo. And so I'm just reminding us all that's what's in there. Insurance on the dock. The last time I was here, the insurance on the dock actually went into the general fund and not into the park fund. So I'm just make sure I clarify and actually probably after August 4th, I assume you'll have a chance then maybe to look through the budget after election.
Look through the budget.
You know how you always do, where you kind of look over and make sure, or we have time after that?
I've looked through starting numbers already.
Okay.
The multitasker.
When are we
I
publishing
think,
it on the 10th?
yeah, that week the 10th, yeah.
Absolutely, people have to.
So what, the reason I'm bringing that up is if, let's just say it's, I don't know what it was, 80,000 or 88,000, whatever it was, it went to general fund, then I assume that the payment will be made out of general fund.
Yes,
Is that right?
it was made already.
It was made, okay, so I don't have to worry about that. That's
Yeah,
what,
it's all paid for. We're just waiting for the second insurance premium to be paid back in, or the insurance payment.
okay.
Reimbursement
So
come
what,
back in.
so what that does, let's just look at it that way, and I don't have the sheet in front of you, but what that does is about $100,000 of capital outlay that's sitting in the park because we were building that up, okay? So now the insurance paid for that over the general fund. And so then you would have that extra unencumbered cash sitting over the park fund. So options, leave it there, use it for like we're talking with electric or water, for other other things you're going to improve on that area on the other side. or you could reduce the mill levy a little bit there and put it in the general fund if you wanted to, for that, let's just say 50,000 or whatever the number, half of it or something, and put it in the general fund to be used as other ways, because the general fund, in a sense, with the insurance, paid for it. You see what I'm saying? So it's always good, I feel, to keep all the extra funds at a, you need your money and you don't want to build too much unencumbered cash up in there, but you can't use it anywhere else. But if you transfer it at the time of the levy, that's the only time you can transfer. You can't transfer during in the middle of the year. So if we decide, okay, we're going to switch a little bit over there, that would add to the general fund's levy and give you a little more flexibility, because general fund can spend for any expenditure that you might have.
Was some of the, out there at the county lake, was some of that building still in the capital improvement?
Yeah, there's, I believe, we added another line there that
Okay.
there's a building up by what, I don't know, the bait shop or whatever, and then there was another building
Yes,
for
storage.
the tractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
where I.
So you've got a line item there too?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then there would still, because I was thinking, we looked that up for 50 grand or something. So I think there's 100. I can tell you for sure. Let me just double check. I'll do that off the top of my head. I've got too many numbers floating around. Right now, we had it over to the left. We just didn't have the numbers in there. So yeah, part of that will be used up for, we put down electrical upgrade, and Navy's going to do some checking on that other side over there. It was around 40. And then so superintendent garage.
Yes.
And equipment storage.
Yes.
That was 25 and 35. So I guess that pretty well uses up your 100,000. So we'll drop it in there. It just stuck in one line item as capital outlay, and then we were going to break it out so that people could see what you were setting the money aside for. But I'm just saying, if that had to be put off for a year, there would be some flexibility there, because the insurance money was put and expense was put in the general fund at that point. And then the last number I hadn't given you yet, it's the last page on your attachment. It's the neighborhood revitalization. This will change by fund because it's based on levy, depending on how we end up doing everything, but column, that is the amount of neighborhood revitalization that will be allocated back to each fund. And what happens there is whatever revenues or receipts you come up with, you have to reduce it, because the tax money comes into the receipt side. You have to reduce it by, if you look in that column, go up to the top there. Right now, you would reduce the general fund receipts by 39,301. You see that number at the top of that right-hand column?
Yes.
And that number is starting to drop a little bit. It was at one point over 1 mil. Right now, 1 mil is 139, and you're sitting at 117. So you're at 0.84 mils. So that, I think, there was some changes you made. Was that, I don't know what that was, 3 years, 5 years ago, I don't know. Changes to the program. But that gives you, those things right there are kind of what when I look through again, that's kind of the key thing. So then we're really back to the top 2 bullets there on how you want me to move forward with a 2021 budget. If you had a chance to think about it for a little bit. Really, the top one's probably the biggest one. Do you want to leave it flat? Do you want to add the tax lid, increase the mill levy? Do you want to make up just the 24,000? Just those questions.
Well, with the decrease in valuation, leaving the mill levy the same, we would, in other words, to keep the budget the same, we actually were end up raising the mill levy to recoup what we've lost.
Yeah, if you want to, at 232,776, so we're all clear. If we don't levy it this year, okay, we don't put it in the budget, then that 232,776, you can't get back. You see what I'm saying?
Under the tax lid.
Yeah, so once it's gone in the tax lid, then you don't get it back.
In order to retain it, you're going to raise the mills 1.66.
That's right. That's right.
That's simple, black and white.
And our chances of getting rid of the tax lid are slim.
Well, there was a bill this time, you know, but it got vetoed, by the governor, but, and it was even, I don't know if it was the second,
So, I mean, we're still looking at a tax lid under this administration.
yeah, 2021. Let's see, it's governor, that's the next 2 years. So, yes, we have at least probably 2 more budgets. So, I mean, that's what it really comes down to. You just got to tell me, okay, let me explain it for the new people. Let's explain this. So let's just say that we did pick up the 232,776 as part of the budget. You raise the mill levy by 1.663. You come to budget hearing. It's published. You come to budget hearing on 24th.
Yeah, the 24th of August.
Oh, that's July. Yeah, 24th. Okay, 24th of August, and people say, you know, I don't want a mill levy increase. So you can always lower it after the publication. Okay, you published it. You come to the hearing. You can always lower it, but you can't raise it. Okay, so if we did put the 232 in there and there was a big outcry, we can always come back to square one. If we don't put it in there, then you can't, you'd have to go through the whole process again. You'd have to have a publication, budget hearing and all that. So that's kind of the two ways of looking at it, I guess.
So you should raise it 1.8, maybe include it 24,000.
Yeah, if you get that, it'd be like, 1.8 something, yeah. I have that here somewhere.
1.8.
Yeah.
No.
You got
Yeah,
1.174.
1.84, yeah.
You say they can always back it down.
Yeah, so if you
If you don't take it now, you'll never be able to take it.
right. So what that does then is, I mean, from my perspective, being outside of your county, but someone could come to the budget hearing if they see the publication and they go, you know, I don't want the levy increase. I mean, that would be, there probably, a lot of people don't show up at the budget hearings, but that way you get to not really oppose the people, but you put it out to the people to see what they're thinking. But yeah, if you don't include it, then the 232 just goes by the wayside. And then what happens is next year on the tax lid, you would start with really the dollar amount that you had from the previous year. You just start again at the top, and then if you had that 232 next year, you could add it, but you'd always miss that 232 that was in the 2021 budget.
We can't control the ag side of it, but if we added the 1.84 mill levy, what impact would that have on a homeowner compared to what they're at right now?
If they set flat and that you got to think about this in 2 ways. If they set flat and had no assessed value increase, okay, because if they had an assessed value increase, then they would have they would have the mill levy and the assessed value increase. But if it's flat, 1.84, I can't do it all off the top of my head, but it would probably be enough in most cases when I've done that. It's like $49 to $100,000 house. I mean, it's not like it's
Not gonna break the bank.
no, or even if it's 50 or 60 bucks for one. I mean, I could come up that number and get back to Tina that you're beating, right? I could tell you, I mean, but it's not gonna.
Only other thing that I see you've missed in here is the ag department over here. That budget's gonna come back to that 100 and some thousand from
You mean the extension?
ag extension, yeah.
But that's in the oh, you mean because they're
See, they went to their own tax,
yeah,
they went to their own tax levy.
right.
It's not, that's gonna also impact the taxpayers because
Okay, so roughly, yeah, so that's a great point. That's about, last year was 164,000, it's about a mil. 1 mil will be in the general fund and won't be spent out in 2021 to them. Or maybe 2020, let me see.
No, it's 2021.
2021, yeah, so 164,000.
But the taxpayer
But
though,
yeah, they still have to pick it up.
they're gonna pick it up on another additive to the yellow page that we send out in November. It'll be, instead of 64 taxing units, we got 65 now, so
Gotcha.
just another
I
taxing
didn't put that
entity.
down here, but
Yeah.
what happens is too, in the general fund especially, if we come up and we say, we've got the general fund set at 3,473,844 is the amount of taxes we're levying. One thing you can do too, even after the budget's been approved, you can go in and change those departments, you can change those, those numbers inside the general fund, because all that matters for the state purposes is the total expenditures by fund and the levy. We have to know that so that we can pass it on to the county treasurer, put it on the tax statements. So there's some flexibility. If we come up, like we get into this COVID thing and get down to October, November, before the December 30th deadline, there may be some money that you have to move around. Health department's on its own. Emergency management's in the general fund. There's some things, that we can move, may end up having to move some dollars around if there's another outbreak, like might be, I don't know what they're saying. This is kind of like adding 3 or 4 more shells to the shell game and trying to figure out which dollar is under which shell. I mean, it's nuts.
Especially when you expect dollars to come in and you maybe expect big dollars, and you never know how that's gonna work out.
That Potawatomi County put me on the spot this morning. He goes, "You think this thing's really gonna get carried out this fall?" And I said, "You mean with my firm and getting it done for Potawatomi County?" He goes, "No, the state." I said, I said, "All I can tell you is we're gonna get Potawatomi County done, and we'll make paperwork filed on time, and all the other 16 counties on time." I mean, we can't. You gotta step forward and do the things, that you gotta do for your county and the best for your county.
I guess some of my thoughts here is after this change over to 5 commissioners, I've inherited the whole Indigo Road. We've got lucky, we got a grant for Nighthawk Road, and we're still going to spend $1 million on that. That's where I don't know whether this $223,000 that we've been paying on the Tampa Road debt, whether the commission wants to spend their cash or whether they want to put some back on for a payoff of 4 years for maybe this other project. I don't know where we're going to be on that and what the vote would be, but that's things to think of. And then you've also got Sunflower out here that I don't know when. I can't tell you when the roads are going to go bad, but you can drive them and you can see weather checking and both of those roads quite a bit. And so, yeah, a little seal coat over it with the pavement right now is going to hold us for a little bit, but we've got some major expense coming up in this county for those 3 roads. And
I guess my big concern is keeping that general fund adequately funded, because if we get into an emergency, that's where we're gonna have to go. I mean, in the end, that's the cash that we can use.
Yes.
That's why it's important to me. I know Scott in the past has alluded to 4 months, 6 months worth of reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had done that.
We're not there right now. We're about, what, 3?
Yeah, we, at the end of the year you were, but yeah, it's probably not there right now. One thing I might add to, Randy brought up the county extension, and I didn't write on it, but you might write on the bottom of this yellow sheet if you want to, is the county extension is 164, okay? But you wanted me to put in an administrator in the budget for 140,000. Now that's in the general fund, so that can be changed because it's flexible. It's it's a department, but in a sense, I mean I hadn't thought about that when I wrote this sheet up. But the 164, even though the taxpayers are going to have another tax over here, the 164 in a sense was going to offset the 140. When we were looking at that's what I was kind of looking at, is that it's in the same fund. So I was trying to think if there's anything else. The transfer station's on its own. These are all the big things that we have to come up with, because everything else is pretty flexible the way we can work on it, but is what the tax dollars are gonna be and what the total expenditure is gonna be. Because that's what you have to have in order to publish on August 10th. Those are the numbers we have to have nailed down. So if you wanted to, on Friday, your meeting on Friday, I guess, if you want to think about this, that these are the things I need to really know, and you can kind of hammer them out if you want, and then just tell us. Tiffany's got everything pretty well re-entered. I didn't print it all right now, but we'll do the updated one, and then you can, I mean, you'll have a lot to go for, next week.
You mentioned the building down there at the trash deal that we've already had quite a few exchanges or, value changes and stuff. So work changes, change orders. So what happens if it gets to 100,000?
Right, that's all we had. That's all we had.
Is that what we got in there?
We figured 100,000 on contingency.
Then, but if it goes over 100,000, then it's got to come out somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
General fund or capital improvement fund. I mean, capital improvement fund in your county is set up just for roads, basically.
Yeah.
But in a lot of counties, the capital improvement fund is set up for any capital improvement, so, and that's general fund money. So if you did have to finance it for, for a year or two, that little extra overage, you could always reimburse it, or, once maybe add some more money available in the transfer station.
And then personal services, in my opinion. I mean, that's something that there's not a one of us can sit here and say, we don't know what the request always is. Everything we've heard, raise, even though Diane's point of view is, does everybody get a raise? That's, and then we've got some to address in our low part of our work scale that maybe needs to come up. I think probably the janitor just changed over because he could make probably a raise in pay. So that's something that needs to be addressed too. Employee benefit, I guess, employee benefits.
Benefits, yeah, benefits. This year it hit like a brick. So the employee benefits.
What hit by brick? What is it?
Just the amount of
Insurance.
Yeah, was. Yeah, it was huge. It was huge in my company. It was huge here. It was huge. Made some difficult decisions and made sure it stayed within the budget.
I know this is election year and everything, and understand that, but I'm not gonna pull no punches. We don't make no money in any other way other than tax revenue. And the cost of roads, the cost of doing business today, we want to improve our rock situation, and there's nothing but cost improve or raise there. If we go to more harder rock trucked in, the trucking already has cost us, we can tell. So
but it comes down to return on investment. So,
yeah. Hopefully it does.
People will pay for quality as long as they get quality.
Well, I'd hate to lose that 1.663 mil under that tax lid. Why not recoup them?
I don't think we can. I think we got
For
to.
the purposes of the budget here, they probably ought to put down the 1.84.
That's what
and see what, if we get destroyed, we get destroyed. We'll have to address it then. But
yeah.
I've had to do that maybe 37 years, 3 times we come to a budget hearing. Yeah, there'll be enough people show up and say, no, we don't want that increase. So what you have to do is you basically just go in and you go through the budget. One of the things might be cut the middle column. You go, okay, we're going to cut the middle column by 5% to make sure we have enough carryover over into the 2021 budget. I mean, there's there's things you could do, that I haven't.
We still have options.
Yeah, there's still options. But if you don't put it in there and come to the budget hearing and you want that 232, then we have to go all the way back through the budget, the publication and the budget hearing process.
Where are you coming, where was that 1.84 at?
It's on this.
It's just that, I didn't put it together.
That plus that.
Oh, plus it, okay, you just didn't add, okay,
1.663 plus
Okay.
1.77.
It's on this here,
I see,
the original.
yeah,
The original.
right. Mine's out in my truck, I know where mine's at.
Mine stays right here, because I look at it every once.
Yeah. Yeah, I better add that on there, make that a circle, or I'll forget that one.
If you wanna think about, talk to me after your meeting on the 31st.
I think we need to do it.
I think
You
it
just
just
tell me what you want to do.
needs to, you need to put the 1.84 on there and see, and we'll go forward to the budget hearing.
I'm in agreement.
Me too.
I'm not. Did you expect me to be?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like raising taxes, especially
Okay.
now. And I know money is very tight and we're faced with a lot of unknowns, but so is every citizen out there.
Wow.
And $49 increase isn't a lot to some people, but to some people it is a lot.
Yeah.
But,
It is.
so. But the majority rules.
I don't know. We have the majority, but.
Hmm?
Okay.
4-1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're voting.
I can get you, I just don't know off the top of my head, I probably should have that down, but 1.84, I could get you, what that would cost, $100,000 on a house, so you'd know that on Friday if that's.
That would be beneficial. That would be beneficial.
No, they sold us about any way you can on, school bond issues. Oh, you can buy 2 pizzas a month for, that's how they did it. But I get you, I get you.
Well,
that number.
But
It's
just
fair,
like
being
he
transparent.
said, our maintenance man went to the appraiser's office for more money. And I'm glad he did, since he's qualified, and good for him. But the point that I'm trying to make is even a $100,000 house and somebody else that lives in a $50,000 house, a loaf of bread costs the same for both of those people. And and many of our employees that are like the 1/3 on the bottom level, whatever home they live in, and probably most of them don't live in a $100,000 house, we're going to impact the poorest of the poor and the bottom line, the bottom of the people. Now, the ones on the upper that are making good money, $49 is nothing.
Yeah.
I got it.
Well, I'll be very transparent with you, being in these 13 counties, that are all over the state of Kansas. If this thing actually keeps going here they're just bid, a lot of people come, like some of them out west, right? It's kind of like an open meeting, and a lot of people came to them. I explained that, the CARES Act, and a lot of them saying, their businesses are just, you can see it, you can see it in our with the ones we work with, their cash flow is a challenge. You start looking at car dealers, I don't know if you've been watching them, but the inventory on a car dealer is really way down. There's nowhere near the number of cars on those.
Yeah, they can't get a car to sell.
And that's your sales tax money.
Yeah.
So, you start looking around, and that's kind of what I did when I drove around talking to different counties. That was I can see why Jerry Moran does that. He goes to every county. You learn a lot, because each county's a little different, what props them up, revenue side, and what, keeps them going. But the businesses are on a very tight margin right now. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll put the 1.84 in there, and then I will get back to you on Friday. By Friday, I'll send an email to Tina, or I'll tell you what, I don't know what you got next. I could actually probably do the calculation. I got it on my laptop here. I could probably do the calculation, just tell you what it is. So I don't have to email, so you don't get there 42,000 people. And then the personnel services, the way it's prepared right now is only whatever changes, the longevity and all that, 0% increase. Is that what you want me to press forward with? Or do you want to add any or not?
We keep talking about a pay plan. And it's gonna have to be addressed sometime. I would think you at least want some kind of COLA in there.
Yeah. Ken, I think we need to address the pay plan, but maybe make some changes. I mean, not go straight across with it because.
Well, I'm not saying, I just said address it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about a COLA?
Cost of living.
Yeah.
What was it? This year was 1%.
Whatever that would be, 1%, 2%.
Yeah. The year before there was none. This year was 1. Next year, keep thinking you're gonna make it up to them one day.
Osage County for now, the third year, I believe, gives I don't like to call it a bonus, but at the end of the year, they look how their revenues come in, how close they come in to the projected. And if they feel like it came in at least where they're at or better, they'll give them so much at the end of the year. Now, some people, there's two sides to that. The employees, wouldn't like that as well because it's not going to keep being added to their pay. But from the county's perspective, it's a one-time how that year went, and then you address it again the next year. Marshall County, they're probably going to add $100 a month, I think. And some of the ones that are paid lower like that, but the ones that are like your county engineer or whoever these are that make a little more, they want percentage. So that's kind of the different ways other two counties I work with anyway that have dealt with it. Is one's a one-time payment every year. They've done it for probably 3 years. And the other one is they had.
And yet that's taxed. That's taxable.
Yes.
So do you work with Lincoln County?
No.
Okay, well, I know they do the same thing. They give at the end of the year,
Yeah.
whatever they can afford, whether it's
Yeah.
$50 to every
Right.
employee or what, and that way every employee gets the same,
Yeah.
rather than the percentage, because, well,
Mhm.
like 1% or 2%, whatever, to the man making $12 is a 24-cent,
Oh, yeah.
20 cent an hour raise, or 12 cent, I'm sorry. And then $81,000 employee makes a big increase, and that's how the rich keep getting richer and the poor people stay poorer.
Yeah.
Because the raise is just unfair. And I know I was talking to other commissioners, more and more are going to that same thing because it's just a flat across the board and you know exactly a
Per month.
one-time deal. Right.
Lincoln does it per month, $50 per month.
No, one-time deal.
Oh,
like a
It's
bonus.
a one-time deal is what they
So
gave
more
their
of a bonus
employees.
then.
Yeah. Mhm.
Probably call it a bonus, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and they do that. Most of them do that. And it's
No,
like even if you run a business, that one time, then you're not tied to it. So if the next year is not as good, then you're not continuing. Because as you ratchet it up, you got to just keep ratcheting everything up, which people, like you said, the cost of living keeps going up.
Mhm.
So there's
I like bonuses because it reflects on not only how well the county's done, but it reflects back to how good a job did the different departments do, and then the employees within those departments to make it come out that way.
Yeah, if the unencumbered cash balance, I mean, if it went up and there was, and that the employees in a sense watched probably the bottom side of the expenditures to make sure that it did. We added a bonus program probably about 10 years ago, and we share with them. And I'll tell you, the employee has a different viewpoint when they know that they have a chance to get something at the end. So they'll do their best to.
So you tie that to unencumbered cash, so the rollover, the cash
Yes,
forward.
yeah,
So
like-
the cash forward grows that year, that means they'll
Yeah,
take
you
a chunk.
projected, the numbers change around, there's so many moving pieces here, but let's just say you had a projected, at the end of 19, yours was 2.7 million, okay? So that was about four months, I think, something like that. And so if we double check that, I don't want to give you information.
It wouldn't be.
No, actually, you had, you actually at the end of 19 was, you were about not quite 7 months, 6.5 months. So let's just say you did that. That was what you come down to the end of the year, and you were actually a little above that. So you were above your 6 months, if that's what your goal was, whatever your goal was set for. If you're above the 6 months cash carryover at the end of the year, then you could say, okay, well, that's because, yeah, somebody, either the departments worked, get it, or the revenue was higher or something, but at least you're setting a goal and saying, we got to keep cash at this. If it does come above that, then you have the opportunity to, that's one way Osage County.
Just a reminder, the reason it was high at the end of last year was because you didn't do your transfers because you were concerned about your cash balances.
Exactly.
So that's the only reason. I mean, that is the reason that it was higher.
We didn't get to put no blacktop down. We didn't get to do nothing.
That's right.
So,
and there was some other income that come into that. We're talking the paid in lieu of tax, there was a deposit, there was a Diamond Vista, some income that ran through, and it must have went back out.
That has not been gone anywhere.
So that's 713,000. So yeah, you might be, when I said that, you're probably a little bit under 6 months.
was that 200, the pilot payment, that's in 19 or 20?
19 it shows.
And
here,
we didn't, and we just run it back through cash. We didn't do nothing with it.
As of right now, nothing has been done with it.
Yeah.
And Brad still hasn't said whether we have to distribute any of it to other entities or not.
Okay.
That was in December, I think. We got that.
Yeah, right at the end of the year, yeah.
So what you'd have to do, more than just looking at, like I'm just looking at the ending unencumbered cash,
Yeah.
you'd have to go through and take some of those into scenarios. You didn't make any transfers. Oh, okay, well, that's $900,000 or whatever that number is. You didn't, you had that extra 7. I mean, there would be things you can't just look at the number. You have to.
No, it has to be a net number.
Yeah,
I
you'd have to
I didn't want you to brag too much. I want you to get down here to the facts.
I'm just trying to help you out here at 6 months.
Well, if you do that with employed and look at it from employed, they'll just look at it just like you did and won't understand.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You'd have to almost, if you're gonna do that, you really want.
You'd have to have a dashboard.
Yeah, you'd have to come forward and say, this is kind of how we made the calculation. So we have a 4-1 vote.
What?
Has that been?
Do we need to make that into a full-blown motion?
I just put it as a consensus because you didn't vote.
Yeah.
How about a
Consensus? Okay.
How about a 1.5 increase for personal services? I'm just conversation with the board. I'm just asking, trying to answer this man's question.
That's not going above our 1.8, right? You're just talking about moving?
I'm just, no, this is just.
1%.
1.5%, I think.
Yeah.
1.5 mils.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not mils, no.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, percent.
But how many mills would that be?
Well, that's,
It's favorable.
Get out the calculator.
I don't. You would have to, there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got employee benefits. I mean, so what you do is you add the 1.5%, and then you have to go through. I mean, they got the sheet set up. You just have to go through and change them all. But then that all feeds down to employee benefits. So I don't know. I don't know
right,
that
that's,
answer.
Well,
that's,
I know,
But
We could come up with it. It's not that.
I know
as
it's
far
like
as the
$500,000
mills-
a month or something, if you include wages and benefits and so on, give or take. I know it goes up and down, but it's close.
If it's, I mean, I don't know how 1.5% works, but 25%, 25 cents, now, I mean, I've just done these before and Marion and Osage, and it's all, you guys are about the same. It's always like less than $100,000. I don't know what's done. So you're probably less than a mil. It might be like 0.6, 0.7. I just guess it based on history. I haven't done that for a while, so I don't know.
turned your head pretty quick, Kent. You'd rather hear 1.6 mils or 1.5 or?
Well,
I just wondered
Yeah,
what.
1.6 mils, that'd be a pretty good raise.
No,
We're not talking about bills.
Okay, just didn't want you to snap your neck, Gary.
Yeah, the consensus on the 1.84 is as far as we can go without, well, it's as far as we can go.
Yes,
Because
correct, correct.
that last meeting we had was
Yes.
the deadline.
Yep.
So
Oh, yeah.
it can't go any higher than that.
No, unless you,
Present.
unless you turn it, like we did, in the past, it was paid for because of the assessed value. I mean, there's some avenues. If you thought this COVID thing was gonna go a lot more than what you're gonna get reimbursed for, I mean, we could go in and add another, you could add to the tax lid under that reimbursed, like we did last year. Last year was paid for by the assessed value increase. This one would have to be a mill levy increase. Like if you said 1 mil, I'm gonna put it in the risk management fund to help with COVID expenses, because we're not gonna have enough money. I mean, that would be an option, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm just saying, so I think the spark money, if we do our, the county does all their calculations, you'll get some money from that. That'll definitely help.
How does that play though if we do get it and we don't count it in our budget? I mean, we don't account for it in our budget. Will that go straight back to general fund then?
No,
No.
Well, you could, yeah, it probably would be put in general fund, but no, it would just be in cash. And you'll have enough budget authority to, if you wanted to turn around and spend it, then you'll have budget authority to spend it in the general fund. The other funds might be a little tighter, have budget authority. And then you can always amend the budget outside of ad valorem tax. You can't amend the budget for ad valorem tax, but you can amend the budget for any other unseen revenue that come along. And that might be, I'd have to be able to look at, that might be considered grant because it's federal funding. Grant funds, you don't have to typically budget, you have to spend it, turn around and spend it. Because what you're doing there, really, most of your money is gonna be like reimbursed expense. So it's like you've already spent the money, you're just getting reimbursed in a sense by the spark fund.
So you're saying 1.5%, figure out what that dollar is, figure out if it's gonna go across the board 1.5 or it's gonna go distribute, take that total number and then chop it down to.
Take
how
that
many
total
people.
number somehow and I think Diane, and I know I've felt that to look at the lower third of our pay plan and see how we can
Keep them.
see if there's some major things needs to change.
Yeah, because cost of living, I mean, really, when you think about it, everybody's loaf of bread goes up the same.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna give them a cost of living, they all need to be able to
I don't
afford the
know.
same cost of living.
I don't know if we do that. I don't know how my other 2/3 of my board feels, or of the employees feel. But I think it's just finally we're making some adjustments on things that need to be done and we haven't done it. So whether that's a fair way to do it or not, I'm just throwing this out so we got some ideas.
And I don't think looking at the pay plan is actually cost of living. It's
Right.
addressing the pay plan.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Cost of living is cost of living.
Right.
It is not, it is.
So it's not on the same.
I have a hard time viewing that as a raise.
Right.
That is,
Okay, so I want to make sure I write here, but on this 0%, so you know where you're at here, on that 0% increase because of longevity and all that, the increase from the 2020 budget to the 2021 budget will be 124,934. So it'd be right at just a little bit under 1 mil, just in your longevity. Okay, and then whatever, I don't know what 1.5% would be. I mean, they can put it in and we can come up with it pretty easily.
Yeah, we can calculate that pretty easily.
What happens if you do away with longevity? I mean, that thing has bugged me all along. It's never turned out just right. Just one of the things that you see it up here as you see it go across your sheets and stuff. And I'm just saying, it's part of the plan that we adopted 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 8. I don't know. How long has it been, Tina, since we?
2013.
2013, 7, 8 years ago, yeah. There's been some people get some good raises, and there's some that didn't. I don't know. But back to the part of the pay plan, the new pay plan don't have longevity, right?
And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
The new pay plan don't have a longevity deal?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, I just noticed something. This may not all be longevity. The ambulance went from 9.
Yeah, it's not all.
905 to 1,042. So see, a lot of that 124 is probably that increase.
It's increases in staffing too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
So
this
that's
is not
kind of,
all.
I kind of missed when I looked at, I looked through, oh, yeah, that one's.
Yeah.
The rest of these offices look pretty well in line with each year. That's the one that would be,
There's been,
that would be like 137.
besides the ambulance, there's been 2 other offices that's got 2 new
I
employees.
haven't looked at that.
Yeah, looks like, yeah.
So,
Yeah, most of them are the same or just barely more or a
Yeah.
little bit less.
That's why that 125, I thought, man, that seems like,
Yeah.
that makes sense now. Okay. Ambulance would be 137,929 increase. So the 124,
Or some other departments have gone.
they went down from their, so that makes sense now. Okay.
So when will we see you again with actual sheets as to what's gonna happen? I mean, this is cute, I like this, but I like
Well,
that better.
Well, yeah, but that there, if I don't have those answered, I can't give you the sheets.
Yeah, just keep coming back
So
to the
that's why
same
I
thing.
asked you,
That's right.
when's your next day here?
My next day here, I don't know, when you
Well, I'm
want.
done this week. So.
She's done, actually, yeah.
Oh, you're done?
On Friday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking here what my,
Before August 24th.
no, we would, I mean, I'm just thinking, because on the 10th, you want it before, unless you want to decide on the day that you're gonna publish, I mean, that's.
Probably not.
What I typically do is we'll get the changes made on what you told me, the mill levy, 1.84, the 1.5%, once we get that number, we'll change those. And then just get you the sheets. I don't want to promise too much, but I don't know, we might be able to get it to you by Friday. I could probably come over.
But did the board, have you said that you want the 1.5? I mean, we're gonna figure that if we did it across the board, what that number is and how much increase it is. That's what you want.
I just
You
threw
want
it out.
figure.
I'm just throwing it out.
Okay.
I didn't, I mean, I expect a vote maybe yet today, but maybe on that, not that number, maybe whether the board feels less, or the board feels more on.
I'd like to at least know what the number is.
Oh.
I think it'd be a good place to start.
Okay, so let's, I think we've got everything else changed in there except for 1.8. And that'll be easy to change.
I guess that'd be a good number, Scott, to throw out.
So what we'll do is if she knows by Friday the 1.5, what that impact would be to your budget, then you can talk about that. And then you don't meet the next Monday, but it's just gonna take a special meeting.
So when did we ever use the red pen? I mean, we
I
heard about
started
that.
first,
all the time. I haven't seen it.
I started the first day with the red pen.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I
he did.
did.
Well, I know you had it here. I
Yeah,
just didn't see
I
it in
used it.
action.
Yeah, I used it the first day because we were already sitting in a hole.
That red pen should have been used back in April, May.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think.
I'm gonna have to get a new one.
Deadlines here, and I'm gone some next week.
Do you have any counties that actually cut the budget when you put in these requests and things that they say, nope, you're not gonna get that, nope, you're not gonna. Do you
Not very
actually?
often.
Not very often.
No. Problem being is, I mean, I totally understand everything you said, especially with businesses and all their needs, but the problem with a county and a city, now cities have a little more flexibility because they have utilities typically. When you have utilities, I'm telling you, if you got electric and gas,
The city does,
you
yeah.
got a cash cow. I mean, I can give anybody a budget in the city with either electric, gas, or both. Because Mount has both, and they're amazing. But a county, that's the whole problem. Randy hit it on the nail. There's just not a lot of other revenue sources. So if we just looked at that budget of 40% goes to road and bridge, and and what I gave you there is a year that you didn't have any really big time road expenses. So you're sitting there with 40% of your budget going to that. The other 50, well, of that is personnel services, but personnel services in your county is about 55%. So 55% of personnel, whether it's road and bridge or all the others, there's another big number. So all of a sudden, there's just not a lot of other, sales tax kind of carries you a little bit there if it's up.
Yeah.
But they took away mortgage registration fees. Mortgage registration fees were, in your county, were probably 160 to maybe even close to 200,000, depending on the activity and the mortgage lending thing. That's gone, And so you start reducing those. This is before you got on, but in 2003 in December, they said, we're not paying any more of your city county revenue sharing, your road funds. We're not paying any of that.
LAV's gone.
State just gone.
Yep.
Well, if you try to figure how to get through the rest of the year with all of a sudden the state just cuts off your funds. So that's always, I guess I'm coming from 37 years of seeing a lot of things. I don't like to see, I don't like taxes increases any way better than anybody else. But, if you don't kind of keep it going kind of flat there, or at least, or a little bit of you're going to, at some point, gonna get a hole. That's the whole, I don't know. That's just been my philosophy. Is it right or wrong? I don't know.
I think old General Dan Hollip, he figured that LAVR stuff up there for the
LAVR, that
first,
was another one, yeah.
for the
That's
first
one
5
tax,
years or so after they cut it off. And
Yep.
that was a number that the county had been getting that disappeared, and it's just ugly. I mean, of what the state took away from us, and yet said, keep it going. Don't change none of your ball plan. Play the same game, but we're going to take this money away from you. And that's exactly what Scott's talking about.
Well, you can go back further than that. 89 reappraisal came into play. What you see now, reappraisal, you had to buy the 400 computer. All these things. 36 that time, just in 36. They could, oh yeah, we'll pay for it. And they started sending payments, and literally after 2 payments, don't have any money. So the county, so it happens. That's just what I'm fearful of. I just don't want to get, my job is sure that you don't end up, because you can't go to the bank. That's the whole kicker is you don't have a credit line like you do on a.
Tina, what year did you say that pipelining exemption goes off?
This year.
Is it 2021 or 2020?
I didn't say. It's
That's
this
what
year or
happened. You
next
never
year.
told me.
But
what kind of impact will that have?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
It was supposed to, if it was valued at what it was put in at, but the big story was told to us that the time the 10 years goes away, that a lot of it would be depreciated.
You're probably looking at
And it would be a
20%.
smaller payment.
That's pretty much anything.
It may not
10-year.
have a great impact.
That was a 10-year exemption at the time.
Yes.
10-year exemptions usually allow for
That was
20%
Dan. I remember one Dan.
of actual value.
That was what.
And that would come through on-
What's that?
that would come through on the state assessment. wouldn't it? State
Yeah,
assessment.
I got it. Complete state assess, yeah.
The other thing is, Randy brought up the other day, didn't get some high speed out to fiber infrastructure. There's some other things there that's real good thoughts,
Back to the pipeline thing, another thing you might want to know about that, what's interesting about that, the way that's valued is the amount of fluid that flows through that pipeline. I found this out because I had a township in Reno County that had an incredible increase. So I called this guy, and this guy's full-time job in the state of Kansas was to assess the pipelines. He sits back in the corner with one light, a little light back there. He calculates all this. Wouldn't that be just an exciting job?
Yeah.
Calculates the flow of pipeline, fluids through the pipelines that all go through Kansas. I learned so much in 30 minutes. He explained all that to me. And I said, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So that's how the pipeline. So the depreciation might not be as much as if the pipelines were actually used. Depreciation would be if the for some reason
They
the company
cancel.
decides not to use them anymore.
Then you'll
But if
lose.
they use them, they're probably gonna still have a pretty good value. To them
Supposed to
based on-
have.
Based on what he told me.
And do we know whether that was the right rumor then, that the cost of the equipment would be depreciated in 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
And like you're saying, the
But
flow
it's-
of the pipe.
See, I mean, appraisals went to more of the, even on my buildings over in Galva there, I don't rent them out, but they want to know what the cash flow is off of them, even if I don't rent them out, because that's how they calculate, a lot of the values. It's not, yeah, it's not the buildings, it's the cash flow out of them. Okay, so I'm gonna do 1.84. We're gonna do a 1.5, look at the number.
Something you can drop in and pull back out.
Well, it sounded like you wanted to look at the number before I drop it in.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying? To answer your other question, I don't know when I'll be back. You just tell me. I might be on that screen right up there.
Yeah,
That's what we
That's
talked about.
just as good. That's fine.
it works as long as we get a PDF of
Yeah,
something to look at.
but the problem is you don't meet third. The next time you meet the 10th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And I don't think we can, by the 31st, I'm not sure there'll be numbers. I mean, I don't know.
We can do a special virtual.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I
So
think
you want her office to do the 1.5?
But the room's not gonna be available.
Hmm?
The room won't be available.
Yeah, so it'll have to be a special virtual. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This room won't be available, but the GoTo Meeting still will be, that we can be somewhere else.
Depending on when you set it, because I'm letting other departments use it too at certain times. But
Yeah.
so what instructions are you giving though are you giving, you want us to prepare the 1.5 number for you to see? Is that, I've heard one person say that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what everybody wants.
I think I heard it.
Let's say that again.
The 1.5, what that value
For the
would
employee.
be as far as a percentage. I heard,
Okay, looking at it.
I'd like to see what it is.
Prove it or not.
so. Pretty sure the consensus is everybody wants to see what that number is. Nobody's ready to take any action on that.
I mean, it's fine. I just want to know.
Yeah.
If we're supposed to do it or not.
Yeah. Man,
It could be a year we don't do that too.
yeah. Maybe.
I don't know when you're looking at. Are you trying to look at this?
Well, the budget hearing is gonna be the 10th, right?
No, the budget hearing is 24th, but we have to have it ready in
Yeah,
the
the
paper.
publication is you gotta have it on the 10th for publication.
Right, so
You're
we'd
gonna
have to,
a special meeting next week.
it's gonna have to be a special meeting and I can hold it. I mean, I just don't know how you're gonna,
It is what it is.
Is the room tied up all of next week?
I have on,
Yes.
yeah. So
you
the,
could possibly do it the morning of Wednesday or Thursday, the 5th or 6th. But not the afternoon. I've got a county board in here on those days for mail ballots.
Shouldn't take us that long.
well,
I think so, Thursday morning.
do we need the room?
It's an open meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is open too,
I
so.
know. I like to see the room open,
I like
whether
to
all of
see
us here or not.
Yeah.
So you could do it the morning of the 5th or the 6th.
Either
You
one.
could do it on election day.
Oh, good. Yeah.
No. Will you be right back up here the morning of the 5th though?
What do you
Would you rather have it the morning of the 6th to have some room to think?
Overflow. Breathe.
No, I'm not gonna have any breathing room till after the canvas, so, because there's stuff going on every day, so it's okay.
We'll say the 6th, one
Morning of the 6th,
Let's do the 6th.
what time?
Doesn't have to be earlier, early is fine.
What are you doing on the 6th, Scott?
I guess we'll probably have to check with that one first.
Where you at?
Colorado Springs.
No, you're gone. You're
Well, I'm
gone,
at a
gone.
bankers conference. I'm roughing it at the Broadmoor.
You've been a golf course by then.
Uh,
I know what those papers are, so.
No, I think I could.
Have to do it by 7.
What time would be on the 6th?
Early as you want it.
It'd be mountain time.
Yeah, it'd be mountain time. so you'd have
If
to
we
get
did
out
it 8 o'clock,
earlier.
it'd be 7 there.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Well,
You just said it, you tell me, and I'll do whatever I need to do.
do some mountain time. I don't know.
Thursday morning, 8 o'clock.
8 or 9, I don't care.
Gives him time to get prepared for, I don't know what time golf course starts. So.
Well, I'm in a scramble that morning, but I'll do whatever you. I'll do whatever.
Tell us,
Business is
if
more
Wednesday morning works better at that time, fine.
Wednesday morning, I don't have anything.
All right, Wednesday.
But I don't want to.
No, it's fine. That doesn't.
8 o'clock?
The 5th at 8 o'clock.
5th at 8 o'clock.
You
So
7 o'clock your
yeah,
time, where you're at.
Not a problem.
As long as you're not adjusted yet, you'll be fine.
You what?
People just have to bring her overnight.
Yeah, bring her over, yeah. That's right.
All right, we only go 9. You need,
You can, it doesn't matter,
Oh.
that morning, it really doesn't matter,
Okay.
so I mean, if you don't, 9 o'clock, you do 9 o'clock, that's great.
That gives her some more time.
yeah, let's do it 9
On the 5th?
on the
Yep.
5th.
And then you'll give me a link to link into, or how's that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually,
It's the same one that's on the agenda.
all this.
Oh, it's always the same one?
It's at the bottom down there, that's.
Global Code Meeting, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
But in order to have any sheets ready, you're gonna need them to decide if they wanna look at, have what they want done with personnel on the 31st.
that's right, exactly.
So you'll have to be prepared to make that decision on Friday.
The other option we have too is I might, Jan Nolan knows your county pretty well, so I might be on screen and have her in person. I mean, I don't know, we'll just see her availability, because then, because she's gonna be helping me finish these, because of the spark money, she's gonna be helping me finish the 3 counties. And, we'll get it figured out. I'm just trying to get to a number here. You got, what's on, is there something else on your agenda? I didn't see.
Not today.
Well, there's just public comments.
Okay. But I was gonna get you that house number. I think I can figure it out here real quick. Computer go fast. Good stuff. Okay, let's see.
What?
Rain's gonna do
It was a nice one.
You guys get some this morning?
Rain? Oh, yeah, we got almost 2 inches. Yeah, inch.
We didn't even fill the gutters up.
Yeah,
You didn't?
Nope.
it was.
Yeah, we had a pretty good rain. I don't know, I don't gauge, but it must have rained quite a bit.
It all stopped up there.
I'm surprised that you don't have
You must be living right.
Why is that?
Because you're the random knower of facts.
I'm doing what?
Random knower of facts.
Oh,
I think
no.
that's something you want to keep track of.
No, that darn rain gauge.
Probably
So
a
many
calendar.
times I let it freeze and then it breaks. Yeah, I get a free one. I write it.
You don't have the federal feedlot to keep track of it.
No. Now, my brother's actually a meteorologist, and he's got his master's now, but he doesn't practice it. They got me the craziest weather thing I'm supposed to put up somewhere, and I have no idea where I'm even gonna put it. It does wind, rain, all that. I mean, bear with me here. Yeah, I have to put in a couple numbers, but I think I can mill rate there's a state in the state budget forms here. I can do that calculation for $300,000 house. And then you adjust it like it's 50,000, you just cut it in half. Let's see the mill rate. We want to increase the 1.84 million.
Like every person you ask this question, you'll get a different answer.
Okay, so 1.84 mils is 257,596 would be the tax increase. That'd be the combination of those two numbers you have on your paper there. And then we put in the $100,000 home. Oh, I was high, $21.16. Yeah, I'd rather be on the high side.
I know.
The low side. So $10, the 1050 for $50,000 house, 2116 for a $100,000 house. That's where the two pizzas come.
I'd rather have the two pizzas.
That makes sense?
Mhm.
Okay, I got that number. I can check that off the list here, can I? See, you should have spoke up. You probably had that number off the top of your head.
I did not have it off the top of my head. It would have taken me a lot longer to get.
Okay, so Friday, you're gonna decide, 1.84, I'm gonna go on and do, that you're gonna decide on the 1.5%, once you get that number. Then, if it's yes, we'll put those numbers in over the weekend. I will try to get these sheets to you, and then on August 5th at 9 Central, 8 Mountain, I'll be on Zoom or on GoTo Meeting.
Yep.
That everything?
Yep.
Whew.
All right.
Goodness.
Can't believe those bankers wouldn't cancel their convention.
Well, they may, yeah, I don't know. I'm going now because I'm chairman of the board of the bank stand, so it's kind of twofold. I was going before that to just meet people because of the firm, but we do bank work, but so it's kind of twofold. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And if there's something comes up Tino will get with me, but something comes up that I need to know, put all that together, then.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Couple members of the public here. Wanna? Okay. Anybody have any public comments?
Don't need any more comments.
Oh, okay.
Needs to read some more.
No, I don't see any on chat box, I put out public comments with a question mark. Nothing has come through. So anyway, I'll close public comments and we'll go on to commission comments. Anybody have anything? If not,
I do have. We have a very important thing coming up here August the 4th called election. It's a primary election. There will be some races decided in the primary election. So I just like the public to know to get out and vote. And when you get out and vote, try knowing your constituents that's running. It's just not a game of tic-tac-toe when you get there. It's more than that. And I think maybe when I was younger, I played the tic-tac-toe game. That's why I said that, because I didn't know them people and didn't take the time to get out and know the people running from the office, especially local offices. And I cherish that since I've went through life now. Cherish that quite a bit. I've been astounded that we have maybe a candidate or two that has maybe a felony record. And that is something that if you're convicted of a felony, you don't lose your right. Depends on the class of felony that you lose your right to run. So
they can still run, but they can't vote.
No, I think they get to vote too. They can vote.
I heard a felon couldn't vote.
On certain felonies, their voting privileges are suspended until they fulfill their requirement. And then they
goes away. Yeah, goes away. So, and then with other charges, so get out and know your people that's what I'm asking the public to do. Get out and know the people that you're voting for, especially locally. Nationally, you can't hardly do more than listen to the TV. So thank you very much. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Anything else? All righty. I will make a motion to adjourn. Second by Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.